Hello, and welcome back to the AL Central Shit Show. This is Eric, and with me today is Lee, Dan, Sam, and Ty. This division is stupid. Um, so we're past the trade deadline. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but honestly, it's been 5 days. Baseball has been played, so when we talk about the trade deadline, it's going to be like players added. So not necessarily in-depth transaction by transaction. However, let's talk about this stupid, frustrating division and sport because this has been a week of highs and lows, and depending on which team you're cheering for, whichever. So the division standing as now, the Chicago White Sox with 61 wins are 3.5 games above the second place Detroit Tigers, who have been dead and buried, or should have been dead and buried about 6 weeks ago, who just traded their best two starting pitchers and, yes, have gone on a surge for 7-3 and are now second place in the division, 3.5 games back. The Minnesota Twins and the Cleveland Guardians are 4 games back. Both not playing stellar. Me and Sam did a series recap yesterday talking about the Minnesota Guardian or Minnesota Royals series. It wasn't fun for me, but whatever. The Guardians are 7-3 in their last 10 and playing like it, as you can imagine. And then the Royals are just kind of ready to play spoiler, and they may have already done that for the Twins. So, for hitting in the American League, the Chicago White Sox have passed the Twins for most runs in the American League. So it's White Sox 1, Twins 2, the Kansas City Royals 10,
Tigers fourth.
Tigers 4, Royals 10, Guardians 13. For pitching, you have the Tigers second, you have the Guardians 5th, the White Sox 8th, the Minnesota Twins 13th, and the Royals 14th. Where do we begin? We had 2 series this week. We talked about one yesterday, like I said. We're going to talk about the White Sox Guardians series. The White Sox just took that series, but boy, I don't even know where to start. Actually, why don't we talk about the best team in the division for something a little bit silly, because Will Venable did something about as inexcusable as you can possibly imagine, and that was even without adding context. What's that?
Unexcusable, I think you meant to say.
Well, what did I say?
You said excusable.
Yeah, unexcusable. It was not excusable at all.
Speaking of something that Ozzie Guillen did 4 times during his managerial reign, we'll talk more about him later in the pod. And manager of the year candidate Will Venable. I'll put those out there before. Eric, what did he do wrong? What did he do?
So I'm gonna show it up on screen. So I'm taking a clip from Indergaard, who is a small baseball YouTuber. So please go visit him while we're watching his video on here. It's going to play in the background. But so long story short, we're going to add in some context because the day before, the White Sox and the Red Sox had a 13 inning, 11. Both teams scored over 10 runs that they're showing here on this script. The White Sox had no bullpen help, and they are entering to this point the biggest series in their season right now. They have Noah Schultz, who is a promising rookie who has had a really, really bad year. And he gets into some trouble for the first inning. And in it, the pitching coach kind of does a quick visit after some guys get on. And then there's a double. Jose Ramirez, the White Sox dugout, I believe, thinks Ramirez misses the bag at third. And Venable wants to go out to the pitcher to say, hey, we need you to appeal to third, without realizing his pitching coach had already done a mound visit, and you can only do one of those an inning, or you have to remove the pitcher. So what ended up happening is Noah Schultz had to be removed from the game right then.
Not 1 out later. As previously advertised.
There was some confusion because apparently the rule is if it's the same batter, they have to finish the at bat and then remove, but because it was a different hitter and it was a new whatever, they had to remove him immediately. But Stephen Vogt asked that. So Ty, I'll let you start off.
Look, at the end of the day, I'm going to have the worst take on this. Schultz, there was nothing wrong with getting him out of the game at this point. He was already struggling. They did ultimately send him down to AAA after this game. It is what it is. Now, Eric, you brought up our bullpen. That is the biggest issue of this all occurring. David Sandlin did come out after Schultz went back into the dugout. He pitched 5 additional innings, didn't do great, but again, he didn't do any worse than he expected Schultz to do. So in terms of the game outcome, I don't think this really matters. It's a nothing burger. What I will say, Will Venable, again, manager of the year candidate.
Yeah.
He messed up. He owned it immediately. They were on the Friday night broadcast for CHSN, and he literally was just like, yep, I should have known. I should have known that Zach Bove went out there. I mean, Bove was only out there for 10, 15 seconds, it sounded like. So, again, I'm not overreacting to this. It is what it is.
Dan, you were watching this, I think.
I gotta say, and will eventually push back, but I think Ty convinced me that this isn't as big of a deal as you could potentially make it out to be. Now, that being said, Will Venable should know better in this instance. And I don't understand how he didn't realize his pitching coach went out there to visit the pitcher in the first place. I don't get that. You would think that usually a manager might be in direct asking the pitching coach to do something like that typically, or at least is aware of his surroundings and knows that the reason why we have a pause and play is because his pitching coach is talking to the pitcher. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, I mean, it's a bad look. It's a bad look. It looks like he doesn't know the rules. It's the kind of thing that when we were having a fun time during the World Baseball Classic earlier this year, I was ripping Mark DeRosa for not knowing the rules to the tournament. Well, it's very similar in what Will Venable doesn't know the rules of how baseball is played out on the field. So it's not a good look. I do want to agree, though, that like Schultz didn't look good. And that could go 2 ways. One way is the Guardians could have continued to knock him around, which possible. The offenses looked better in the last week. The other is, how many times have you seen a pitcher get hit around in the first inning and then gets a couple outs and then settles down and then goes out there and throws 4 more innings and gives up 1 run at most and kind of rights the ship? It really put the White Sox behind the 8 ball. But I know David Sandlin wasn't he had a rough 5th inning, and that kind of really cost the White Sox in that particular game. But, man, he saved the series for the White Sox in the long run. He could have given up 20 runs. And just the fact that he pitched into the 6th inning made a world of difference. He rescued them. And, yeah, it's the kind of thing where Venable probably knows better now and will make darn sure never to make that mistake again. And I think sometimes when you hire a rookie manager who's never managed at any level before this, you kind of run into the potential for this kind of thing. But now that I've kind of had a couple days to sit with it, and I think Ty did a really good job of explaining, that Venable was very upfront and took the blame for it. I do think you're right. Like, move on. Move on at this point.
And I will say,
I
just want to say on the Mark DeRosa comp, I don't need that in here, Dan. Come on, man. What are we doing?
I would say this is
close to Mark DeRosa.
This is significantly worse than what DeRosa did. Yes,
I understand the scenario, but not even in the same ballpark, not in the same league. No. But anyway.
Stop doing DeRosa-like things, and you won't get compared to him.
Okay, fair, very fair.
I think that this is I don't think this is worse than DeRosa. And I'm going to make an argument on this because, personally, I didn't know this. That's just me.
Sure.
A lot of the things that DeRosa was doing, I feel like I could have known better than to do, or to do better than. Putting that aside, do we need limits on mound visits anymore? Because the limitations on mound visits were put into place to speed up the game. We have solved the speeding up of the game problem with the pitch clock. And having a couple extra 30-second mound visits were not the thing that were slowing down the game.
I guess
I think that's why it's still needed, because now that we've cut out another way to lengthen out games, i.e. the pitch clock, if this rule was removed, it would be the only way you could do that, and then we'd have a mound visit every single at bat during a reliever to give someone more time to warm up and stuff. Usually just be way more drawn out than the pitch clock thing ever solved, I guess.
I'm also pretty confident what Venable did. This is not a new. I know they put in a limit for pitch mound visits. This has been a rule for a very long time. Like that, you can visit the first one can be the pitching coach. Like there's 2 visits to the same pitcher. And I think, Sam, maybe what you're talking about is like before there was the 3 batter rule, you could have had 2 mound visits to the same pitcher, but that did go away. So they did limit that. But it's always been pitching coach manager. And the second you have to take out the guy.
Yeah, this is a rule that's existed for as long as I've been sentient and following baseball. It's also, and this is kind of irrelevant, but I'll say it anyway. This rule exists in high school. I know that from when I was coaching high school. Like this is like I guess the point I'm making there is like this is universal. This isn't a new thing. And I think to avoid the pitching coach or whoever going out there several times an inning or what have you.
See, and
this
I guess
has been around for a long
I don't
time.
remember being called out.
Perhaps I was mistaken on my opinion there.
No,
It's
Sam,
not a
I'm
rule
on
that
your end.
comes up that often, because it's not that often that someone screws it up.
Honestly, it shouldn't screw up. Ty, I'll let you go, and then
I just want to say I'm on Sam's side on this. I was a 13U coach, and I never got called out for visiting my 13-year-old like 8 times in the same inning. So, I don't know how it can just be a generally known thing. Anyway,
Sure.
Move on.
Well, at that level, they're not that concerned about the game going quickly.
Well, that's true. They're there to have fun. So I will say with Venable, I do think this is significantly worse than what DeRosa, because DeRosa, it's an exhibition tournament. And yes, there's a lot of pride on it. And if someone can tell me the correct context, I feel like I got this right, but I might be off a detail or two. Basically, DeRosa assumed he won the round he was in when he hadn't actually won the round.
That's the biggest thing.
He basically assumed that they had already gotten their ticket to the next round, but they hadn't, and so that he was not playing.
And then managed the next game as though that was the
assumption.
Can I just say that the fact that Mark DeRosa is going to live rent free in all of our heads for who knows how long is just it's crazy. And I don't want to spend too much time on it, Dan. I know it was just an over exaggeration, but
it wasn't an over exaggeration.
So what I'll say, I'll stop beating the said horse, but I was very surprised. Even though there have been, Venable's been in a dugout his entire adult life. You don't tell me there's not a check of like a pitching coach going out. Like there's zero communication between you and your pitching coach. Like, hey, I've already gone out, or I'm going out, or I'm going to do this. I understand. It does look like this was
anybody in that dugout. Anybody in that dugout going, no. Just shouting.
This is why we have a bench
coach. He did do this like double take.
Yes,
like you saw him like take 2 steps forward, and he's like,
That's ultimately what I like. I'm trying to make. Sam is making my point for me. Is like there has to be some type of communication involved, including like other like. Venable should not be that clueless. It just seems like he was asleep at the wheel. And like people are allowed to. We've all done that at our jobs.
He was asleep at the wheel because we got in from Boston at 3:00 in the morning. Like, come on.
Yes, but
come on. Okay.
I hear your point, and I will ignore it.
I mean, he only had 15 hours to turn around and get ready for this game.
So anyway, I will look forward to his Manager of the Year award at the end of the
I
year.
will too.
I did say, and tell me, maybe I'm, upon reflection on our Discord chat, I was maybe a little dramatic, and I said if the White Sox were in fourth place, he would be fired. That might be a bit harsh or a bit too much. I get it. I guess it does happen to Ozzie Smith 4 times, but I do kind of wonder. Matt Quatrero does this. Is that the last straw type thing? At what point is
If
this?
he
a
does
fireable
this,
thing?
no one notices, and we're not talking
Bingo.
about it.
No,
Absolutely.
fair enough. So, all right, we can move on. What other depressing thing do we want to talk about?
I like the Royals. Royals making moves. That's fun.
Oh, they signed an all-star, a potential Hall of Famer today. Sam, did you see this?
Yes. What are we referring to here?
The Royals signed Craig Kimbrell.
Oh, did they now?
All of the worries in that Royals bullpen
Live
are solved.
reaction, everybody. Here it is.
Oh my goodness. Well, I don't know, Eric. Do you recall my comment about the scrap heap yesterday?
I do. You found the top
So,
scrap.
I mean, sure. Why not?
Why
Good
not
for him.
Mike Kimbrell? Yeah, exactly. I love it.
He's gonna receive financial compensation in exchange for his services,
Mhm.
and that's something that he wasn't getting previously. So
Yeah,
good
I
for
was gonna
him.
make a money could be exchanged for goods and services.
Yeah. No, sure. Yeah, this is good for him.
Yeah, I was about to say he's gonna get another paycheck. I guess he was
Mhm.
because the Rays have to pay him whatever they signed him for, and he gets prorated salary from here.
I
How
did make
old
a comment.
is good old Craig? 38.
38 with a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. So not
Okay.
Craig Kimbrell from what was that, 2014? Where was he just a beast?
Mm.
Not the White
There's a
Sox.
few really good years in there.
I mean, think about this. He made his debut in 2011. Or sorry, no, 2010. 2010 he made his debut.
8th grade was awesome.
What were we all doing in 2010? My goodness.
Oh God.
I don't want to tell you guys. I was near a 40-hour job, and I was about to graduate. Actually, I was a junior in college, but I was working 40 hours, so that's, great.
I think I would have been in what, 6th grade?
Wonderful.
I was in
Yeah.
4th grade.
Wonderful. Sam, were you like preschool? What was it like?
I mean, I think I was probably at Summit Lakes Middle School at that time in my life.
Dan, what grade of middle school were you in?
I wasn't. I'm about almost as old as you are, Eric. I was in
Okay.
college.
I was
There you
hoping.
But-
I knew
but-
we were close in age, but I didn't know if it was like
Yeah.
4 or 6, in which case I was.
Nah, you're good, man.
All right, well. So, yeah, they found a reliever. They just need anyone to cover innings, so why not Craig
Yeah.
Kimbrell? Like, who
I mean,
cares?
yeah, why not? And I mean, if he ends up, there's a non-zero chance that he ends up being playable.
Any out that he gets is an out that somebody else doesn't have to.
Absolutely. Love that.
Yeah.
Why not?
I mean-
right? I mean, it's not like you're in the running for anything. It's kind of cool.
Don't say that,
Oh.
Lee.
Oh,
Don't say that.
Lee.
That's not worth it.
Oh,
Lottery
Lee.
outs.
We most certainly are in the running for something. And that is the number 1 pick.
First pick.
oh, there you go.
So maybe Craig Kimbrell can help us get that.
I'll say, he can probably help that, actually. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not if
And
they
we
play
don't
the
even have to
Twins.
have the worst record
it's true. You
Right,
need lotto.
lottery.
to get that particular.
This Kansas City Royals team is exactly what needs a first number 1 pick.
Mhm.
They need to.
Yeah.
They need some restocking in that minors, but anyway, that's beside the point. All right. Any other news in Kansas City, or it's just you're just waiting for September or October 1st?
Just beating the Twins. That's all.
I mean, we've got a Chiefs preseason game on
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. We can see how Justin Fields looks in the preseason.
Wait, you got
Outside
Justin
of
Fields
that,
now?
Hello?
When did that happen?
yeah, the Chiefs have Justin Fields as our backup quarterback. How the mighty have fallen.
Oh, nice.
Well,
Yeah, I
He
think
better not get
speaking-
a ring this year, dude. Come on.
he.
That's not
I think we
okay.
traded like a 5th round pick for him. This in like March or something.
Anyway,
So, yeah.
speaking how the mighty have fallen, let's talk about the Guardians.
Man.
Oh, our
Uh,
state of the Guardians, State of the Union for the Guardians. Love it.
Thank you all for coming. I wasn't here for the trade deadline special that you guys did, so my apologies for missing that. But let's start with the trade deadline. And how about this? I like what the Cleveland Guardians did at the trade deadline. Genuinely. I think, let me just kind of go through what they acquired because they did. They bought at the trade deadline, seeing the feebleness of this American League, seeing an opportunity to make the most of it and potentially get back into not only get back into the playoffs, but get deeper into the playoffs than they did last year. And that felt reasonable. This is a team that's made the playoffs 2 years in a row. This is a team that, again, should make the most of an opportunity. And so I'll start here. Foster Griffin. Foster Griffin is a starting pitcher that the Cleveland Guardians acquired from the Washington Nationals. He was an all-star this year, and he earned being an all-star. He wasn't a token all-star because every team needs one. James Wood made the all-star team for the Nationals. So this wasn't we have to find somebody situation. Beyond that, Griffin is a low-risk pitcher. He is a rental. He'll be here through the remainder of the year, and that only. And the Guardians have only used 5 starting pitchers, with the exception of one game. Logan Allen started the second game of a doubleheader. Outside of that one game, the Guardians only used 5 starting pitchers all season. They're the only team to do that, and they've done it partially because they've stayed healthy. In fact, mostly because they stayed healthy, but also because there's not a lot of depth behind those 5. There's some guys that might be middling fringe starters, a guy like Austin Peterson who's on the 40-man, but largely speaking, they've got 5 starting pitchers. Well, they added a 6th, and that's fantastic, particularly one that's having such a great season. Foster pounds the strike zone. That's his best strength. He pounds the strike zone. He's left-handed. Alternatively, in total, he throws 7 pitches, and that's probably 2 or 3 too many, because a couple of them, quite frankly, looking at the StatCast data on him, aren't very good. His curveball, not good. He should probably scrap that and just throw his sweeper. Now, the Guardians, it was made a big deal on the broadcast when he started this week against the Mets. Griffin called his own pitches, despite the fact the Guardians have Patrick Bailey behind the plate. And that's understandable to a point. He just got off a plane and joined the team 3 days ago. I get that. But there's a lot of expertise in that clubhouse on how to utilize a pitcher. There are some clear and present things that Griffin could maybe refine. And I really hope that the organization doesn't just go, well, we don't know Griffin that well. We're going to continue to let him throw what he thinks he should throw. There's an opportunity for him to improve there. And I hope they use it, because while he's had a good year, the underlying data, his FIP, etc., isn't as rosy. And while I think he'll be fine, I don't expect him to continue to pitch like an all-star. I expect him to continue to pitch like a guy who looks like he should exist in a 5-man rotation, but not like an all-star. We'll see.
So he has how many years of team control left?
So I was confused on this because he's only in his 2nd year of service time, but everything I read, I don't know if it has to do with the fact that he went to Japan for 3 years and came back, but what I saw on Fangraphs was he is only under control for this year.
So
and he is not under team control.
I was confused too because I had to look it up on Baseball Reference, because I remember when they got him traded, looking at it service time, I was like, oh, so the Guardians just got a 31-year-old pitcher and basically 5 years of team control. But it does say free agent 2027. So
it's weird because they acquired Ben Lively from Korea a couple years ago, and he is under the team control. I don't know what the differentiation is there.
It
but I
might
can
be
confirm.
because like he was sent down to the minors, and it must be some weird shit like that. Of I
Well,
don't
that would
know.
just be option years. It would
Yeah.
have to be in Japan, whatever specific league he came from. He signed as a true free agent and not a prospect free agent. But I don't know.
I
Whatever.
couldn't explain it.
It's
Somebody
a,
that is more privy to the CBA rules would have to explain that, unfortunately.
No,
also,
because
can we just
mine.
explain?
If you want people who are more privy to the CBA rules, you're listening to the wrong show.
Well, not for nothing. I know we're a bunch of fans here, but we're pretty informed fans, not to pat ourselves on the back. And if the 5 of us are like, I don't know what this rule is, it's a bad fucking rule.
Because
Like, maybe this needs to be fixed. Like, this is a bad.
I mean,
like,
I
clarify.
wouldn't say that. I would say we are very informed. I would not say that we have intimate knowledge of the ins
Correct.
and outs of the CBA.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm
We
just
are the
saying, like,
CBA.
if the 5 of us are unclear over his free agency because of which league he came from and it's this service time, like, there's 3 different rules that are at play, it seems like, with him, and we cannot, like, put our heads around it. I mean, I get it. Like, someone can do a deep dive and somebody knows this. It just seems like, I don't want to say, like, I just said it, we're fairly informed for fans, and we don't really know. Which
So I
makes
saw
me
someone listing him as a rookie, and I'm like, that seems wrong. He's 31.
Yes.
He's definitely not a rookie.
Yeah. Anyway.
Eric, there'll be an opportunity for that to come up if you didn't know next year. There's a bit of a thing that might happen where they have to re-update the CBA.
Oh, yeah,
So we'll
weird.
see on that.
I haven't heard about that. Will that be?
Next up, Nathaniel Lowe. Nathaniel Lowe, the Guardians haven't gotten a lot of production out of first base this year, surprisingly, because Kyle Manzardo hit 27 home runs as a first baseman last year for this team, and he hasn't been able to replicate that this year. The Guardians are 25th overall in WRC plus from the first base position. They're 24th against right-handed pitching. And I'll tell you what, Nathaniel Lowe can hit some right-handed pitching. He has 125 OPS plus this year as a platoon against right-handed pitching left-handed hitter. That 125 OPS plus would be fighting for the best on the Guardians overall. He is a strong guy with legitimate power. This move, this trade, this acquisition of him does mean that Kyle Manzardo was sent down to the minors, which I think is an interesting choice to make.
Yeah.
We're going to see him again. This is a temporary setback for him in order to get a temporary boost in some immediate production. Manzardo just wasn't quite bringing what was needed. Low will. We're trying to win a division. We're trying to make the playoffs. You hope that doesn't hurt his confidence down the line.
This is a weird question, but, like, do you know? Because, like, there's snowballs to this. One, I would have cut Rhys Hoskins. I know that goes against the platoon, but to me, you need Manzardo to turn it around if this team is really going to be. The best lineup for Cleveland is Kyle Manzardo hitting a 750 OPS or an 800 OPS.
He's had good playoff seasons too, right?
He's had some good swings in the playoffs. He hasn't been bad. He was particularly good 2 years ago.
Have you by chance looked at what is he playing first? Is Ralphie because, like, also he's taking some fielding opportunities from Ralphie Velasquez. They're not taking at bats because one will just play DH. But I did kind of think, like, Vasquez. I don't know. I would have got rid of Hoskins.
To answer your statement at face value, I didn't expect Manzardo to be the person that got sent down here. I can see the vision. I can see why he's kind of redundant with Lowe, especially when we talk about another guy that they added who would potentially be in the DH spot. But I'll talk about lineup construction here in a minute. We haven't even gotten there. So, yeah.
Well, if we do see Manzardo again, he's going to look different because he shaved his mustache when he was sent down.
Maybe he should have done that sooner. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'll say the 14 pounds of muscle he added in the offseason sure didn't help. And maybe actually in some way it hurt.
Are we sure with the mustache the Columbus Clippers are not right across from a middle school? And that's why he had to shave it.
That's hilarious. But just to my point, like this move showed the seriousness of the Guardians in the front office in trying to make this October happen. Like they were willing to demote this guy that hit 27 dingers in order to upgrade in the immediate. To me, that carried a lot of weight. Joe Adell. I was going to say he's an outfielder. he resembles an outfielder is probably more accurate to what he does.
He owns
You're
an
not a big
outfielder.
fan of that defense?
Eric was about to say he owns an outfielder's glove. That is true. I'll be honest. Joe Adell would not have been my first choice to add to this roster, but I see the vision. Joe Adell hit 37 home runs last year. He hasn't quite lived up to that this year. He's hit 16, but he is capable of power. And he's shown that historically. He has a career OPS versus left-handed pitching of 796. He kills lefties. This team needed some guys that kill lefties. So, fantastic. The drawback, if this is one of those movies about sports teams and the guy's killing the ball and you go, okay, well, what's the catch? The man can't play the outfielder. He is abysmal. He is not good. He was a first percentile outfielder last year. And the Guardians
that means
were willing.
he's good. And he's in the first percentile.
That's not how
He's
that's
number one.
He's number
Yeah.
one.
Maybe that's what Antonetti thought he was reading. I doubt it, but who knows? The Guardians were willing to make
You're
that
saying this is an
trade-off.
Acuna switch hitter situation? Is that what it was?
No.
Yeah, I was about to make that joke.
The Guardians
Sorry,
were willing to make that trade-off because they're 28th in WRC plus in baseball, and they're
Fair.
trying to make October again. So they need the offense badly. You're going to break some eggs along the way. Fine. By the way, they could use him in the DH spot. That'd be fine. He can't hurt you if he's DHing in the field. He can't hurt you. So be it. They made a move, and they looked to improve the offense there. They also received all this. Lowe, Griffin, Adell. 3 noticeable upgrades to this roster, plus Craig Yoho, who I talked about on the show last week, who is a relief pitcher that they think highly of. They've already used multiple times in higher leverage. And in doing so, they didn't give up a single top 10 prospect in their organization. They gave up one in the top 15, which was Jacob Cozart, who's a catcher who is blocked by 2 really good defensive catchers in the majors. And then the team also has Cooper Ingle and Cody Huff, who they think highly of both of those guys. So they traded from a position of strength. Fine. 1 top 15 prospect, 2 in the top 25. Chris Antonetti, Guardians team president, got incredible value in this. He didn't get Tarek Skubal. He didn't get the best player on the market, but he got 4 contributing pieces for the low price of not even 1 top 10 prospect. Substantial improvement to the roster. That's the good
Top
news
10 prospect in the system, by the way.
in the
Just
system.
for clarification. Yep.
That's the good news. Everything else has turned to crap, quite frankly. Let's just
Can
start
I use a
with
phrase
how,
that they've been saying?
what
Can
is
I
it?
just say a phrase that they've been saying in Minnesota? Because
What is it?
I would say the same thing about the Twins deadline. The front office did their job, and now it's up to the players to do theirs. And Cleveland has not been doing it this week.
I'm not even there yet, Eric, because wonderful. We got all this stuff. We got these new toys. We got these additions. We got these players. The way that players are being utilized, I find frustrating. Just me as a fan, as somebody who thinks they know a little bit about the sport, I find frustrating. Joe Adell and Nathaniel Lowe are being miscast. Nathaniel Lowe versus left-handed pitchers has a 716 OPS in his career. Left-handed pitchers, same side. A part of the platoon that he would not be facing, 716. Joe Adell's career OPS versus right-handed pitchers is 651. A whole 65 points worse. For some reason, Joe Adell is playing every day versus right-handed pitching versus left-handed pitching every day. Nathaniel Lowe is in a platoon. Why? The guy who can hit lefties, even though he's left-handed, isn't playing. The guy who can't hit righties when he's right-handed is. Why? I don't understand it. Additionally, Joe Adell has played 5 times since he was acquired. He has played the outfield in every single game. While Chase DeLauder, who isn't Roberto Clemente, DHs. Why? What are we doing here?
Well, you see, Dan, Joe Adell had a game where he robbed 3 home runs in one game. So
For
he
the
must
love
be
of
a
God,
really
man.
good defensive outfielder.
If this, no. I hope strongly that the Guardians organization knows better than that. 30 years ago, Joe Adell would have won a Gold Glove because of that stuff.
Yeah.
Hindsight did it.
And probably the next year's Gold Glove, by the way.
Additionally,
Dan, before you move off that point, do you think it's just as simple as Adele is the veteran?
Lowe's been around a while, so I don't know. I think
No, I mean specifically DeLauder at DH.
the one thing I would say is if they're trying to keep DeLauder fresh, if they're worried about him getting hurt, he has the injury history. Like, I get that. That could be the case. Maybe. Like, that's possible.
But wouldn't you see like more of like,
That's
hey,
just
we'll have
flag.
Adele
Like-
play 2 games and then DeLauder do
He
2?
hasn't. He hasn't DH'd once. He hasn't DH'd once. And you've planted your flag that you're trying to win this year. You've made that painfully clear. You should play the roster that way then. Additionally, so when Foster Griffin was added, that created 6 starting pitchers when you should have 5, right? Slade Ciccone was moved to the bullpen. Ciccone pitched on Monday. He threw 2+ innings on Monday out of the bullpen, which, by the way, fine. I've always been kind of lukewarm on Ciccone. He's been the weakest of the 5. If you want to move him to the bullpen, I get it. It's not the way I would have handled it, but I get it. So he throws 2 innings on Monday. Comes back Wednesday, throws 30 pitches, doesn't record an out. After the game, goes on the IL with arm fatigue. This is a player that had been pitching every 4 days or every 5 days for 4 months straight. You throw him 2 innings on Monday, you send him back out 2 days later and have him throw 30 pitches. Again, I ask, why? And then you put him on the IL for arm fatigue.
Gee, I wonder where he
It
got
sure
all the
seems
arm-
like you created the arm fatigue, guys.
Right.
If it were me, why would this team took off last year when they went to a 6-man rotation? I think you should be worried about Parker Messick's innings. He's been phenomenal. He's thrown a lot of innings, but he is a rookie. He has not thrown this many innings before in his career. The way you mitigate that is you give him an extra day off by throwing a 6-man rotation. And they have chosen not to do that either. And now you lost one of your 6 starting pitchers that have been healthy all season.
So I have a question about Messick.
Go ahead.
So on the game that he was pitching against the White Sox, I don't know if this is just what he normally looks. It was like the 1st or 2nd inning, and he looked exhausted. Is that his normal?
Lee, he just looks like that.
Okay, he just looks like that.
He just looks like that.
Okay, no, because you were saying like, well, his workload. I'm like, well, he looked really tired. Okay, if he just looks like that, then that's fine. But
He
I
just
was
looks like that, I think.
Okay.
I appreciate the question, but I
It
think
wasn't
he just
from the
looks like
Sox, I can tell you that much.
that. Okay. So that's all like the roster construction stuff. On the field, since the deadline, the Guardians are 1-5. They had averaged 4.5 runs per game, which is better. That's good. But they've allowed 6, a little over 6, but I just rounded to 6. In those 6 games, they have allowed 13 home runs and 25 walks. That's more than 2 home runs a game. That's over 4 walks a game. The 2 home runs plus per game is more of like, whoa, that's not good. Tanner Bybee allowed 3. He's always had an issue with the home run ball. Get it. My biggest concern, or just as concerning to me is, and I don't have a lot of specific stats for this, it's just eye test stuff, but the team has not been strong defensively. They did have a 3-error game this week, but they've had more critical errors. Bouncing ball to Rocchio, chest high hop, doesn't catch it with 2 outs in the 9th inning, and that's the difference in the game. That happened this week. Get Angel Hanao, which isn't gonna. I should be happy. I should be talking about how Angel Hanao has come up this week. He had a 4-hit game in his first game of the season. Can't talk about that. That's not the way things are going right now. Now you just got your shot out right there. He forgets to cover second base on a steal attempt this week. He has 3 errors already. Which leads me to a different question that I'm not going to dwell on, but why haven't Brito, Engel, and Hanao looked ready to come up to the majors when they were called up?
Yeah, that is kind of surprising because Cleveland typically when they call someone up, they're ready. There's really not a debate on it.
And the flip side of that is a lot has been asked of them. They were all thrown into it. Cooper, you got to help us save our offense, man, and go play left field when you barely played it.
I do have
Now-
sympathy for Engel. I know he had like the worst 5 games, I think, probably hopefully of his career. But anyway, go on.
Hanau is up here because Jose Ramirez doesn't feel very well, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. Like they've been put in tough places. Rocchio has made some mental errors. The defense hasn't been sharp.
Adele hasn't been great.
He hasn't,
Yeah.
but I was expecting that. I don't know if Stephen Vogt was expecting that for some reason, but I was expecting that. So to Eric's point, the Guardians could have the best trade deadline in the history of the world. They could do everything right from the front office perspective. Ownership, as much as fans love to blame ownership can't be blamed for if this team doesn't make the playoffs. You can't blame the Nolan family if this team doesn't make the playoffs. The Guardians fans wanted splashy moves. You got some splashy moves. None of it matters if they don't catch the baseball and if they don't keep the ball in the park. Maybe get a hit with runners in scoring position here and there. None of
I
it
think
matters
you
if they play.
underestimate the capacity for fans to blame ownership.
If they're in the right mind, they shouldn't. In this case, is my point. But I think you're
Dude,
right. They'll find a way.
Tigers fans are still complaining about ownership being cheap, and they're 10th in payroll right now.
But Dan, what
So-
you're saying is that the Guardians ownership doesn't deserve right now.
I think you guys are getting too hung up on the ownership thing. My point is the team has been put in position to succeed. Here's all the tools you need to go win the division, which is, by the way, not performing very well outside of the White Sox. It's there for the taking, guys. Go take it. And so far, they're sitting there not taking it. And it's not for... They have the capability to, but they're not catching the ball, and they're giving up a bunch of home runs. Beyond all that, the other thing that's going on, and I'm almost done, guys.
I was like, isn't that like 70% of the game is catching balls and
Yeah.
just found that really funny. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Jose Ramirez isn't right
Yeah.
physically. He's not. And that guy is incredible, and he's the most important player in the last however many years of this franchise, and he'll continue to be. And I am not speaking poorly of Jose Ramirez because I think he deserves better than what has transpired this year. But that wrist of his, that left wrist of his from the hamate bone surgery is black and blue. Rhys Hoskins referred to it this week in an interview as grotesque, the way it looked.
Ugh.
It
He
hurts.
shouldn't be why is he playing?
He's sitting out some games, Eric. He didn't start Saturday. He sat out 2 games of the Mets series. He doesn't have an extra base hit since returning, by the way. He's just willing himself to be out there.
Dan,
Eric, you told a story a while back about Byron Buxton, and I forget the context of it. I think it was more he was pressing than he was playing hurt. But Shelton called him in the office and had to tell him, like, hey, man, like, everybody in this clubhouse thinks highly of you. Like, you don't got to be doing what you're doing right. I feel like Vogt maybe needs to talk to Jose in the same way.
Mhm.
Like,
You're not
you're
helping.
doing too much, man. Like, sit for 10 days.
Sorry
And-
to butt in.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to, what you said about Vogt. Jose Ramirez didn't start yesterday. Vogt put him in to pinch hit. Why is he using
He
him to
did.
pinch hit if he knows he's injured, not starting him because he's injured, and then putting him in to play a game that was kind of a little bit out of the reach? Like that was a
And hitting from the
dumb-
right side where it was going to hurt more, Lee. I don't
Yeah.
know. This is going to come off mean towards you, Lee, and I don't mean it that way. If you were listening 5 minutes ago, you would see that I was talking about the comedy of errors that this organization has made in rolling up a lineup in the last week. So that's just another one. That's my answer to that, is that every decision they've made has been the wrong one in this past calendar week.
I guess my point
Um,
is, Vogt. You saying that Vogt needs to like have a conversation with him. Vogt's part of the problem right now.
Yeah.
And that guy's done more good than bad. So I'm not sitting here saying Vogt should be fired. But the last week of decisions has been really questionable. And that's okay, because I think he brings a lot to the clubhouse and helps with the most important thing a manager does, which is continue chemistry. But it's got to be better, bro. That's all I'm saying, is it's got to be better.
Dan, on the message of JRAM, I just want to take 1 second. A few
Yeah.
weeks ago, when he was originally out, 6-7 weeks ago, I asked you if you felt like there was a scenario where they brought him back too early, if he was off the IL earlier than he should be. Is that the scenario that we came into?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it is. And I think he was allowed the choice to come back when he wanted to, which when you're him, you afford your star player who's been great to you that choice. It hasn't gone well, and now I think you need to have a conversation. And maybe the conversation happens and he stays on the 26 man. Maybe like that's maybe an acceptable answer. But I think we're at a point where we need to have that talk. And if nothing else, he hasn't been a spark because I made a big deal. Remember, I made a big deal about Bloody Saturday and oh my God, they got to keep it going while he's out and all this stuff. They played 500 ball without him.
Yep.
They're 4-13 with him.
Right. I guess like I guess what would really frustrate me, and I don't know like if his hand is his hand literal black and blue or was Hoskins being like hyperbolic. I don't know. But like
So
at some point, like I understand Jose is the heart and soul of this team, but if he's not going to be, no one, Jose Ramirez is still a good player, maybe at 50%, but you need Jose Ramirez. You don't need a replacement level player. The point of Jose Ramirez is he's one of the best players in the American League. Why do you want a diminished version of that if he can't swing and he can't get an extra base hit because it still hurts? He should have went on a rehab assignment because you could have found out a lot because it was surprising when he came up against the Twins. And even knowing about a hamate bone, where it's typically that injury can zap some power. You can do some weird things to your hand for you to adjust. Get some reps in against live pitching, even though it's a minor regret. Like at least it's someone trying to get you out that isn't in your organization. Why rush that? And I get why
because
you
he said he wanted to play and
Right,
they were going
and-
to give him that agency. That's the answer.
right.
But I get your point. Like, if this was the Atlanta Braves and there's 6 other guys in the lineup that can hit at a high level, and you're just Jose's willing to gut it out and we'll take what we can get for him, then you could kind of see it a little more. Like I get, but this isn't like no, we need Jose to hit third and we need him to be himself. And
Yep.
he's not himself. He's not himself. Now, all this said, I'm not ready to bury the Guardians. I got a shovel in my hand,
Yeah.
but I'm not ready to bury them. But they have to turn this around ASAP. And there was a sense of catharsis, I think, with the fan base when the Guardians made these trades. And just a message to the fan base, and I don't even know that they need to hear this, but catharsis doesn't win games.
Right.
Feeling good about the trades and spending money and doing this keeping the ball in the park and catching it and getting timely hits will win games. And that's the difference right now. And I think people got a little bit lost in the sauce of trade deadline, and we'll see where I'm at next week.
Right.
Dan, I'm gonna argue one point, and you can choose to respond to it or not. I severely disagree with the fact that they need to turn this around ASAP. I made a comment in our team Discord this afternoon that I believe that this division, the race that we are in between 4 teams currently, will go to the last week of the season. Would it be nice for Cleveland if they did turn around ASAP? Absolutely.
I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna cut you off there, Ty. And this is sacrilege, considering this is the AL Central rundown. Winning this division isn't a prize this year.
Sure. I would even say
I would-
winning the American League is, who wants to lose to the Dodgers. But just to kind of go off that point, and I think
That I disagree with because I think you got to beat the Rays, you got to beat the Yankees. Those are formidable, legitimate teams. Winning this division, give them a cookie if they win this division. I'm not interested in this division this year. I was
even-
hoping to make an ALCS at minimum, and
just to
this
even
don't
like,
look like a team that can make the ALCS. That's
kind
for
of-
sure.
I
Can't
think
even
like
catch the ball.
to kind of like expand Ty's question, it's not just the division. The wild card is even more pathetic than the division title.
Yeah.
Because right now, even despite, we're going to talk about 2 other teams here. So Dan just talked at length over the Guardians'
So-
issues right now. They're 1 game out of a playoff spot. And like that's ridiculous.
If I'm overreacting, guys, to this, and
No.
I wasted all your time, I apologize. I'm sweating, by the way. Now I've worked myself up. But that I
I don't
needed to
think
get
that was
that
an
out.
overreaction.
That was-
Yeah, don't take that as like I was taking a shot. That I wasn't. I was just saying like
Yeah.
you went over like this is incredibly frustrating. This team isn't playing well. They did this, they did, and everything has like been thumbs down since basically the All-Star break, and they are one game out of a playoff spot. So like, everything is still in play, and I think like that's really like what is disgusting about the American League right now is I could copy and paste what Dan said for the Twins. And the Twins are a game and a half out of a playoff spot.
Yeah, but the Twins didn't get swept by the Mets. Didn't get outscored by the Mets 25-13. That's different.
No, let's talk about the
The
Royals.
Guardians don't do that. I'm just saying.
I will say, Dan, I think I agree with you. The Guardians have to figure it out quick. You know who they play on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? The
Yeah.
team ahead of them who went 6-22 in May.
Yep. Well, and that's just so in a normal year, the Tigers are dead and buried by the start of July. But because nobody in the American League and this division wants, sorry, Ty, like I understand the I don't want to crap on the White Sox because they're the only
Neither do I,
team
by the way.
in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
division.
Wait. Just so everyone understands, there's been this episode title. We're talking about how this division really isn't going. Like, we understand
Yes.
that the Sox have the lead. They have continued to keep the lead, but no one else was really
Let
gunning for it.
me get. The Sox are doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
The Sox are an improved baseball team, and they are. I applaud them. Like they played 3 really good games. We're going to do a series recap. Probably in hour 4 of this or whatever it's going to be. I don't know. But the point being, they played a really good series this week with some stuff that went against them, and they were resilient. And good for them. I applaud that because they're in the catbird seat right now. They're doing what they're supposed to. The people that aren't doing what they're supposed to, namely, are the Tigers, who seem to maybe be figuring it out now, and the Guardians. Like Chicago should be third in this division, not because they are terrible or anything, but because the teams that should be better than them haven't been, in my opinion.
Well, not for just to give the Chicago their flowers. They're third in the American League for record. Like, it's the Rays and the Yankees, and then it's
Which, by the way, why
Yeah.
is Seattle better? And we don't have to talk about that, but like,
right.
what is going on there?
This is where
This-
like
Dude,
I don't-
Seattle is so hopeless. The Tigers just played them and outscored them by like a bajillion runs. It was incredible.
well, that's just as where like the Tigers, if it wasn't for May, would be leading this division.
Dude,
And it's
if it
because
wasn't for May, they would be leading by 5 games.
Yeah.
It wouldn't
And,
even
like,
be close.
The difference is it would be the Tigers and then the White Sox. Because I believe the White Sox are just a good team. And then you would have probably a fairly big drop off, and then it would be the Twins and the Guardians slap fighting each other for 4th place. Like, and then whatever maybe the Royals have a different season. I don't know. But I don't. Maybe we can use that to transition into Detroit before we're going to do a roller coaster today. We're doing up and down and up and down. Dan, do you have any other thoughts on Cleveland, or do you have any? What else do you have?
Thank you for listening. That's all I've got. We'll see how I feel in a week. Thank you.
Sure. Well, let's go up on the roller coaster because the Tigers, again, I've already said it. Any other goddamn year, they should just be coasting, They should be getting ready to go into the offseason and say this was a bad season. It just didn't work. But because the rest of the division refuses to leave anyone behind except for Kansas City, who's leaving themselves behind, they're right there. They've climbed up. I don't want to say the mountain because that would seem like an impressive feat, but they've walked up the hill again after being pushed down it. So Lee, go ahead and
There's different levels of mountains.
there are, yes. The Appalachians are not the Rockies. I hear you. Lee.
Yeah, so the Tigers are currently 2nd place in the division. I'm using the Skubal trade as a benchmark because it's a good date just to reference. Since Skubal was traded, they have gone 6-2. They have outscored in the last 2 weeks. They have had games where they won
14-0, 13-1, 11-0, 11-0, 8-0, 8-0. They are absolutely smashing the baseball, and in the last 9 games, they have only allowed 17 runs total. That's not by starters. That's not by the bullpen. That is in 9 games. They have allowed a total of 17 runs. They are outscoring their opponents like crazy. There's a really weird, obscure stat. They are the first team to have a game in 3 consecutive series where they had a shutout where they won by more than 10 runs since the 1897 Boston Bean Eaters. Yeah, they're kind of ridiculous right now. Dylan Dingler is currently the AL leader in F4, by the way. Fun fact. Troy Melton has allowed 1 run in his last 3 starts. 1 unearned run, by the way. He has not allowed an earned run since the first inning 4 games ago. Keter Montero has had a bad start, but he's been great. The Tigers currently lead all of baseball in starter ERA. That doesn't go away when you trade away 2 starters. They still have incredible depth there. Jackson Jobe just came back, and he looked awesome. Like, not just even, he just got back from Tommy John, and he looks pretty decent. I'm talking, he looks better than before he got injured, type of better.
Right.
I don't know if this is just a hot streak, but since June 1st, they have the best run differential in the American League. They have the second best record in the American League since June 1st. If you took out the month of May for everyone's seasons, they'd have the best record and the best run differential in the American League. I think they're just a good team when they're not playing in the month of May.
Right. And also, like, this is going to sound like I'm, like, trying to knock you back, and I'm not. So let me finish my point. So since July 23rd, they've played Kansas City, Baltimore, the Sacramento, Seattle, and the Giants. They've played 6 teams. All of those teams sold pretty heavily, or have not been good this year. However, if you're going to get back in the race, you have to beat up on the bad teams. You got to beat the teams you got to beat. And the Tigers have done it convincingly. They're not scraping by. They're mashing the ball.
And I would like to say you conveniently cut out that they won a series at Wrigley.
Sure, I just had but yes. And Lee, I wasn't trying to say like this has been a hot streak, but my whole point was they're beating the teams they should be very convincingly. Therefore, there should be like a higher ceiling of what you can expect for this team. I wasn't trying to
I'm just saying if you go back one more series, it looks even more impressive.
Right.
Like, I don't know, man. It's been a really weird season. We're going to talk about trade deadline stuff. I mean, should I talk about trade deadline now?
May as well.
Okay.
Who'd they bring in?
We've talked about Skubal at length. I'm not going to go into that there. We've talked about the return there. Tigers also trade Casey Mize. And I really like the prospect we got back for that. We also traded Gage Workman, but who cares about him? So in the trade deadline, if you look on our Tigers top prospects by MLB.com, 3 out of the top 6 were gotten in this trade deadline. Zaire Hope, River Ryan, Cash Mayfield, all acquired in the last 2 weeks. If you look at the pitching, the top 2 pitching prospects in this organization were both acquired at the trade deadline. I really like where this team is looking for 2027. I'm not just saying like, when the prospects come up. I'm talking, look at who's on the team now and look who's going to be on the team hopefully in the next year or 2, and it looks really good. Like we're talking McGonigal, Clark, Dingler, Melton, Montero, Jobe, and then you guys got guys like Hope who could be debuting next year. Briseño just got promoted up to AAA, so he's one step away. River Ryan is probably going to come back sometime this year. I mean, Max Anderson has been killing it in AAA, but he's just blocked at the major league level. It just looks like the organization is very healthy and in a very good spot to move forward, and they're still playing really well. I'm going to pause there if you guys want to say anything.
I mean, they are. I mean, I guess like it's weird been talking about the Tigers this year because they were so pathetic in May, and it was because everyone on their roster was injured. And it's shouldn't be surprising that a team that was expected, or at least according to like projections, Fangraphs and Zips, and Fangraphs is Zips? No. Yes. Whatever. Projections had the Tigers winning the division. A lot of over-unders had the Tigers winning the division fairly convincingly. It shouldn't be surprising that when they have most of their roster, that they're playing well. The weird thing, and this is where like the Tigers just did like an unbelievable comeback 2 years ago. That you may never see a run like that again when the Twins collapsed and Detroit became the best team in baseball and got into the playoffs. And now 2 years later, under very not different circumstances, but like a very different American League, that they might just get into the playoffs by almost like a comedy of errors. And they might end up being a decent, and like in a season where they traded their two best starting pitchers and then they go on a run after that. It's just very weird how this could end up for them.
They could end up threading the needle here and becoming a playoff team in 26 and still having done the thing where they kind of set themselves up for 27 really nicely with reinforcements and people that could Max Anderson could be in Gleyber Torres' spot next year, just as an example. Like that's a thing that comes to mind. Like they might have done it. We'll see.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about Scott Harris had a press conference after the trade deadline, which is pretty normal. I haven't watched the whole 45-minute video because I got better things to do with my time right now. But he said a lot of really interesting things that I think are worth mentioning. He talked, I'm just reading through the article from Click on Detroit that kind of just like summarized the main important points. Like asked about trading Skubal and Mize, and he said, I don't think we played, I'm quoting him, quote, I don't think we played well enough. I don't think I did enough for this organization to justify trading a significant part of our future for the present. Basically, they were not in a good enough spot to justify buying, which is the correct decision, right? Let's see, scrolling down here.
And that was based off their playoff odds at the time, by the way. That wasn't so like I know we just went on like how pathetic the American League is and like why did they sell if that was the case. Their playoff odds were like under 20% in like Fangraphs and Baseball Reference.
Yeah, he basically said that he wasn't going to hard sell. Like he wasn't going to sell off Gleyber and Kenley and Finnegan. Mize and Skubal were the big boys in terms of getting a big return. He isn't going. Basically, he said, "I'm not waving the white flag, for the team. I'm still giving them a chance to make a run and for the postseason. I'm just making it a lot harder. Any additions to this team are going to have to come from internally." He said he still believes that they have the talent to do it, but he can't justify keeping Skubal, keeping Mize, and adding to it, which I think that's very fair. I think a big thing, too, for that Harris said, so last season, I was not a fan of the trade deadline. We were not a fan of the Tigers trade deadline with what they did. A lot of other fans were not a fan of that trade deadline. At the end of the season, Harris still sat there and said, I thought we did a good job at the trade deadline. This year, yeah. Right? Which isn't great. This year, he said, I did not do enough. He sat there and said he took full responsibility. He said, I should have built more depth. I should have found ways to keep players healthier. I should have added more to the team in May when they were struggling. He said, it's not on the players. It's not on the coaches. It's on me. And I think that is really important just because he's finally acknowledging he did not do enough to build this team. He's not saying, I thought I did a good enough job, but circumstances beyond our control. Like he did talk about the injuries. According to him, 35 players went on the injured list at some point, which is a lot. But he also said, I should have added more depth. I should have accounted for stuff. I could have done more. And I think that's really important. And I think that shows that we're still in a good spot with him as GM/Pobo, whatever the hell he does. Okay, I'm going to pause there if anyone wants to say anything.
No, makes sense.
I like it. That's all.
Yeah, so I guess it's kind of really weird looking at this season in terms of like what should they do now, because currently they're 3.5 games back of the division. They're playing extremely well. They have a couple of very important series coming up against the Guardians and against the White Sox, which could make or break the season in terms of are they going to really go anywhere, because they've been beating up on bad teams. Like, I mean, Seattle is not great, but they bought for some ungodly reason. So it'll just be interesting to see what they do against the Guardians, who they have not won a game against this season, and the division-leading White Sox. But I want to kind of talk about what it would mean for this team if they did make the postseason, right? Because going into the season, it was make a deep run. You have the best pitcher in baseball. Go for it. And for the past 2 years, people have been, and by people I'm saying media and fans, have been saying the Tigers won't get anywhere without Tarek Skubal. You need him in order to win. I think making the playoffs, or even being within 1 game of the playoffs after selling at the deadline, would be able to show the rest of the team you can win without that guy. Everybody else out there is saying the Tigers are done. Their season is over. They've waved the white flag. They don't think you can do it. Eric says you think he said
It was me.
you
I'm people. I'm those guys.
Your people. Everybody said that they were done and you couldn't get anywhere and the window is closed. But if they go out and they do it, I think that would give those young players a hell of a lot of a confidence boost going into 2027.
Yeah, I have nothing to add.
Yeah, I think that's right. I wouldn't expect them having a strong end of the year could do a lot for them going into next year, showing that they're still serious about competing.
As a fan of of a franchise who has not been very forthcoming except for the last year, I do appreciate when a front office or a team actually comes out and says, we screwed that up. Like, I probably have an outsized reaction to that. So I will give him some flowers there. But it's also one of those, like, do we need to give people credit for stating the obvious, or do we? But whatever, low bar. He still did it. It's better that he did it than not to do it or say it.
I guess AJ Hinch isn't really a rah-rah type guy, but I would love for him to like give a rah-rah speech of like, it was not just Tarek Skubal on the roster in 2024 and 2025. Troy Melton was there. Riley Green was there. Dylan Dingler was there. Keith. Like, all of these other guys were on those teams. It was not just Skubal that got them there.
I agree with the message, but to me, that's a player. That's a Riley Green saying that.
Or whatever. You
right.
get my
but
point.
somebody, I believe, yes, you're right. I think somebody probably has already said that or should be saying that in the clubhouse.
Yeah, I'm saying in the clubhouse, it can, I don't know. I'm trying to, I just want everybody to move on from Tarek Skubal, and I want this team to be able to prove that they do not need him in order to win. He was, at the end of the day, Harris has been saying this for a little bit. He is 1 out of 26 players on a roster.
Yep.
This team can win without him. They're starting to show that a little bit. The starting rotation is still very solid outside of him. Framber Valdez had a very good start against Seattle. He went 7 shutout. After the game, he said that like he feels more locked in and like he gets into a first strike and then he's just got him. And he, at the end, I really like this. Players will say this a lot, like, oh, I still believe in this team. I think they can still do it. But they say a lot of I believe statements. Framber Valdez stood there and he said, I know this team will be playing in the postseason. And I really like that from him.
Good. I mean, that's someone who has won a World Series before. So
that's why they got him.
Yep.
He was
That's why
insurance
they
for this
pay him the big money.
scenario.
Now, keep in mind, this is still Framber Valdez, and there has been issues, and there's been issues this year. So, like, we don't need to give him a leadership award yet. However, if he does, like, there is something about he's now the veteran on his staff, and he kind of wasn't asked in Houston too, but like, he's now the guy that has to stop the losing streak when his return in the rotation starts. So, if that added weight adds some maturity to him and like makes him lock in a little bit, that's great. Spite can be a hell of a thing and can be a hell of a motivator. And if an entire team wants to be spiteful towards the national media and whoever, it doesn't matter. That if it motivates you and you play well under it, go for it.
Yeah, we've got our new ace, Troy Melton. He's amazing, and I love him. He's so good. And Job is back.
He will be important, but you have to have him and Montero have to step up. They have to continue to step up.
Yes, agreed.
That's what this is built on. It's not just because, like, I don't want to say Jack Flaherty is not going to be important. He can also be important, but it's going to be Valdez, and if those two can keep it up, then you at least have a good starting three going into a rotation or going into a playoff series.
Yeah, McKinstry started heating it up again. Same with Torque. I mean,
and they just got back Jackson Jobe. Who was long forgotten about.
I want a fun stat about Jackson Jobe. So what I say about him looking better than when he got injured, I'm not just making that up. In the first inning of his start yesterday, he reached 100 miles per hour on one of his pitches, and 4 of his pitches reached 99. In his entire major league career before that, he'd only gotten to 99 4 times. He had not reached 100, and now he's doing that in the first inning back from TJ.
So he's coming. He's going to be a starter, correct?
He is being currently played as a starter. He only went 5 innings. It was like 70s. So they're still being very careful about him, right? But he's currently being played as a starter.
So what'll be interesting about him is like electric arm. Throwing 100 is, I mean, it's not as impressive as it was 15 years ago, but it's still a pretty goddamn impressive thing. It's going to be control and command as he's coming back from Tommy John. If he can spot pitches where he wants it to be, that's going to be the thing for him. I mean, it's also possible too, like if he's throwing hard, adrenaline is a thing coming back in your first start. Now, typically you will see it like wane on during that start, but if he's throwing, 98 next series, he can get exhausted quicker because he hasn't been pitching in 15 months, but whatever. I would take him as a bonus is what I'm trying to caution against.
No, yeah, you're definitely right because in the later innings, there was definitely, he was getting just 2 strike counts and then was struggling getting out of that. So there's definitely some of that, but his pitches looked very good. Mm-hmm. I think he only had 2 base runners all game, 1 hit and 1 walk. I mean, I know it's against the Giants. They're not really an offensive powerhouse by any means, but the stuff looked so solid.
Okay. So, any other closing thoughts on Detroit?
Not really. I mentioned Josue Briseño just got pulled up to AAA, which is cool. He's a candidate to be the Tigers' top prospect after Max Clark graduates. So just wanted to mention that there.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to go down the roller coaster again. I don't have as much to talk about because Sam and I did talk about a fair amount of this yesterday. So I'm just going to kind of do a recap. And plus I want to talk about a player that I have been begging for the last 2 minutes that everyone wants me to shut up about, but he made his debut in Kalen Culpepper. So I'm going to start off with, Joe Ryan is just, Joe Ryan pulled a Joe Ryan. So I'm going to show you a quote a conversation between Dan Hayes and him. He has not been right since the All-Star game. And he also battles against a second half, we'll just say, exhaustion issues. His second half is never as good as his first half, and it's a pretty stark prevent. So after the game against Kansas City earlier this week, where he wasn't very good, he lost some velocity in the last half of the game. This is the conversation between reporter and Joe Ryan. Reporter, is a mechanical issue with your delivery. Joe Ryan, probably not. That's probably part of it. I don't know what's necessarily causing that side of it. Reporter, Do you feel physically like you're Do you feel like you're physically able to, capable of executing your delivery? Joe Ryan, no, definitely not.
I feel like
Joe.
that's something you probably shouldn't say out loud.
I appreciate the honesty, Joe. But why are you bitching?
Didn't he
I
just
don't
go to the
take that.
IL with a pulled ass muscle?
Yes, I'll talk about that next. But yeah, just with the quote alone, Dan, I think you have something.
I don't take that seriously. That's a guy who knows he isn't pitching well. Everybody knows he isn't pitching well. The reporter knows he isn't pitching well.
Mhm.
Do you feel capable of successfully completing your delivery? No. You've seen what's happening, bro. No, I'm not. I'm not executing right now. That's all I take that as. It's self-deprecating. I don't see
would-
that as some like thing he shouldn't have said. I see that as a frustrated guy who's frustrated. He's struggling right now.
He is definitely. I honestly I appreciate the same thing with Scott Harris. I appreciate the honesty, but there is kind of a point of like you can't complete your delivery. Why are you pitching? Like, why are you going out there?
Guys pitch without soup. That happens.
Sure,
Guys aren't mechanically sound 100% of the time, all the time.
I understand that, and there was an example like last year of, because Joe Ryan has done this before, and a reporter asked, it might have even been Aaron Gleeman, but like basically said like, if we did an X-ray or an MRI of every pitcher in our locker room, you would be horrified of what you would find in every pitcher's MRI. Everyone has something going on, especially this time of the season. With Joe Ryan, specifically, his second half is not as good as his first half. And he just, I guess, like, I will say it's frustrating in that it's not like Joe Ryan has like a 98 mile an hour fastball. He has a above average velocity fastball that's more deception than it is anything. If he's not able to execute his mechanics, that's going to have an outsized effect on his ability to pitch. And he did not look good against the Royals in the last two starts. So he ended up the next day, he went on the IL with a left glute strain, mild. And I guess like what's weird is they were talking about specifically his elbow and his shoulder, and his glute is what put him on the IL. So there's something just weird going on, but I guess weird is just Joe Ryan.
I still don't think that's that. Like, him not being able to complete his mechanics doesn't necessarily. Obviously, in this case, he did have a glute issue, but like that doesn't necessarily mean he's hurt. There are healthy guys that can't complete their. You're requiring somebody to fire their bodily, their muscles in a certain way 100 times over and over and over again, 33 times a year. And you hear the cliche, oh man, he just doesn't have it today. A lot of times when he doesn't have it today, he's just not mechanically sound today. Not always, but
and not for nothing with him. When Joe Ryan isn't on, he gives up a lot of home runs. Like he's a fly ball, he's an extreme fly ball pitcher. He has pretty good command, but when it's not on, he can get lit up in a hurry. And plus, like,
and that doesn't mean that I'm like saying like he's normal or like he shouldn't be looking to improve.
Right.
It's like, to me, this is more of like a stuff happens type of thing. That's my perspective.
I would agree with that, except for every year he's so much worse in the second half. So like, why is he so much worse in the second half? And nobody can really point that out.
It's got to be a fatigue thing. Like that would be my guess, is just he gets fatigued and he needs more like load management during the course of the early half of the season.
I mean, maybe, but this is his fifth year. Like,
yeah,
I understand
it's weird
fatigue.
That doesn't get better.
I understand, like, first 3 years, like, I can understand that. It's just, well, granted, Joe Ryan is just a weird dude. I enjoy him, but
what does his conditioning program consist of? What does he do to get himself ready?
And he also doesn't.
We don't know that. Just
he. I don't believe he's lazy, and I don't think you guys are saying he's lazy either. I don't think like it's not like Joe Ryan, puts his cap on the rack in his locker and then doesn't touch a baseball until spring training. Like he's working on this stuff. It's just weird that the second half is so much worse, and it's just whatever. maybe he needs his 10 gauge rest, and then he goes on, and he's just fine. But it's really hard for the Twins to play for a playoff spot when Buxton and Ryan are both on the IL. That was not in the recipe for success going into the past the trade deadline. But let me talk about the trade deadline very briefly because I just want to show you the pitchers that they did bring in. It was 4. I'm including Tommy Nance, who was brought in July. So I'm counting that close enough. It was a prospect. They brought in AJ Minter, Jeff Hoffman, Tommy Nance, and Dean Kramer. Hoffman is a lights out reliever. He's very, very good. Who is, as everyone in Minnesota likes to talk about, he was the closer for the Blue Jays until he gave up the game-tying home run in the World Series last year, and then had that job until Louis Varland took it from him earlier this year. So I guess Louis Varland, being the best reliever in baseball in the moment, allowed Jeff Hoffman to become available, with the Blue Jays being just terrible. He has contract next year, so he's going to be in the division next year, which I really like that trade. They had to give up a high arm to do it, but that may end up being nothing. And then AJ Minter, really good lefty, fine, coming back from elbow surgery. And then Tommy Nance. I will just say these 3 alone improved the bullpen tremendously in a 3-week period, or a 2-day period if you do want to do Hoffman and Minter. Between Gomez and Minter and Hoffman and Morris and Nance, that is at least 5 capable, if not very well, Nance is not very good, 5 or 4 very good relievers that you added to the bullpen. Good job there.
I do really like what the Twins did at the deadline. They didn't spend too much prospect stock, which is what the big thing that I was concerned about them doing if they were going to buy. But I think they got either good quality or at least pitchers with enough potential upside that it's worth taking a bit of a flyer on.
Yep.
And either way, I think they drastically changed the makeup of that bullpen in a positive way.
Yes. And for next year with Hoffman. Minter, if they want to re-sign him, great. He's looked pretty good. He's just not AJ Minter from 4 years ago, but who is. Also, how important is that Dean Kramer trade with Joe Ryan on the IL? So we talked about the prospect when that went live that they got for Kramer. It might have been a little bit of an overpay. Dean Kramer also has a year of team control. So that's all I'll say on there. Really like those moves. And what I really appreciated is that the front office had an adequate response, or an appropriate response, to this trade deadline. The previous last year was an abomination. And then the years before that, they did nothing. And I just appreciate they had needs. They stated those needs. They went for those needs. They got them. Good job. And that's like the bare minimum, but I haven't gotten that in like 3 years. So,
but Eric, so my question is, do you not believe, from a Twins fan perspective, do you not believe that this was always the plan for this new the reshaped front office?
This front office and ownership have something to prove to the fan base, because last year was such an overreaction. I don't want to say well, it was an overreaction. You don't trade 40% of your roster and doing it rationally. The years before that, they had no money to spend, and they did absolutely nothing at the trade deadlines. And 2024, if anybody remembers, when the Tigers came back and won the playoff spot, the Twins did nothing. They left the door open just a little bit for Detroit to do it, and then Detroit took advantage, and they were the better team in the stretch. So I appreciate them getting good high, especially Jeff Hoffman. Jeff Hoffman was much better than I thought they were going to get. And they gave up Dasan Hill, who is a very promising rookie, but I think he has in 117 innings or 107 innings, he has 74 walks. Good luck turning that around. But he also is a left-hander that throws 100. So if you can get him throwing strikes, that can be a deadly arm. It's just, that's a lot of walks at high A. So we'll see.
We could fill I don't know how many graveyards
Yes.
full of MLB careers of guys who we would say, if we can get this guy to throw strikes like that,
Yeah.
you know.
And some of them get to the majors. But
Yeah.
we'll see. It's possible Desan Hill does nothing. And then, yeah, I'll move on from that because I do want to talk about. So I've been talking about Kalen Culpepper for about 2 months because the Twins have basically cleared the road for him to start as the shortstop, like for basically that 2 months. Once they moved Tristan Gray and Ryan Kreidler to the shortstop as a platoon, they were asking Culpepper to get healthy. He just wasn't, for fittingly a glute strain. Don't know what Minnesota is doing to their players' asses, but they need to stop. So he got called up to play Milwaukee. Good luck with that. But that was his task. He came up. He hits a home run in his first. This was actually a really long game. I think it was an interesting game because in his second at bat, he hits his first hit is a home run. And I'm pretty sure the next inning or 2 innings later, Mitchell, who is their center fielder for the Brewers, has like a slow chopper that in AAA, Culpepper, who is known for his arm and his above average shortstop defensively, I'm pretty sure was like his mental clock was not fast enough, and it ended up Mitchell was safe. So here it is. What's also funny, I hope they showed this on this replay, is Culpepper was like pretty sure he got it, but he wasn't like, he didn't want to pimp it because it was literally his first career hit and home run. So like you can kind of tell he was like, oh, that's awesome. And then he had to start running a little bit harder. But anyway, they didn't show it. That's too bad. But it was also kind of fun. His dad was in the stands. They interviewed him, and his dad only promised multiple Gold Gloves, pennants, and championships for the Twins. So just a little bit of expectation brought on by Dad.
Well, he might not do that.
Not
He might do
five,
that,
not
but not with the
six,
Twins.
not 7.
Yeah. But no, I think this is the play. Oh no, this is Keishel doing really well. Maybe they ended up skipping it, but it was really fun because like when the Twins have played, they just lost a series to the Royals when they shouldn't have. It's like, why are we having Ryan Kreidler, who I think had a decent season for his play type? That was the play that it was, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Why are the Twins, who have their 2 best prospects who are Major League ready, sitting in AAA and you're not using them? I have a little theory that I'm probably wrong on, is I think if the Brewers, who were throwing 2 lefties and Jacob Mizorowski, Walker Jenkins would have also been called up. Walker Jenkins is a left-handed hitter. And for him to be called up against 2 lefties and then the best righty pitcher in the world right now would have been a tall ask. So I'm kind of hoping, I'm refreshing MLB trade rumors for the Walker Jenkins to be recalled for debut headline. But that would have also just been cool if both of them would have debuted on the same day. But we'll see. I think we have to see Jenkins soon because the Twins need it. They just lost. They went 2-4 this week. Can't do that too much often, but they have a tough stretch going on. So that's all I had for the Twins. Byron Buxton's, yeah.
Off topic, but remember when rookies got called up and they weren't immediately playing like all-stars? Remember that?
I love it. I'll take it.
Year, we've had, Jack Cagliano's been doing it. He's not a rookie, but he's just coming off of that. McGonigal, Max Clark has looked good. Valencia has looked good. Who the guy for the Guardians just got called up? I'm totally blanking.
Hinao. No,
yeah.
Angel Hinao.
And yeah, him. Murakami, Braden Montgomery, Culpepper in the one game. I mean, it is a lot.
Is
Pizzana.
this just a transition year for this division? Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
obviously, it's all kind of not going so well except for the White Sox. But like, is this like, look at all the young players. Like, we didn't even mention Delauder.
Hey,
or
we
Bazzana
still have
or Carter
Benintendi.
Jensen.
Look at him. I mean, he's old.
He is old, yes. I do think this might be one of our off-season, but like this has potential to be a rookie class for this division we may never see as good again. Like, I'm still counting Jensen and Caglione. Caglione I know isn't a technical rookie, but close effing enough. If you include them, you could build an all-star lineup based off of rookie debuts. Now, we can only prove that 5 years from now, but this could be a very, very good rookie class for this division that is going to be really hard to top.
And if we're including guys who technically were rookies last year, Melton is added on to that as well. Like, it's a very exciting prospect / new guys in the division in general. Except for Cooper Ingle, who just sucks, apparently.
I can't wait for Dan, like for that arc to come all the way around, and for Dan to get a jersey because like Cooper Ingle was like nails.
Oh wait, I almost forgot. I can't pull it up because I don't have my computer. Juan Brito is DFA'd, so he gets to get off of the shit list.
Hey.
He's on the Reds.
Oh, also Gabriel Arias is now out of the division. Also,
Yeah, he's on the Mets.
Yeah,
he hit an offer and made an error for the Mets. He fits right in.
All right. Well, it's only been an hour and a half, and we've mentioned the White Sox only about a really stupid decision by their manager. But if you haven't heard, they're leading the division, and maybe the sole competent team in this division. So, Ty, what do you have for the White Sox?
There is no winner of the division.
Yes, there's a clear winner of this division, at least as of right now, and that is the Chicago White Sox.
Oh God!
I want to
Now we have White Sox fans in the chat too, so I don't know. Oh no, I don't like it. This is the worst case scenario.
Let's go. So I let's calm down a little bit about like everything White Sox related. Like, we did just have a really bad series against the Boston Red Sox before this weekend against the Guardians. Again, that 13th inning loss in on Sunday. It's one of those things where it's like you used all this pitching to get here. You how much effort you put in, the 3 a.m. flight afterwards. Was it even worth it? One of the comments that I made online was around the aspect of, again, Red Sox was never the rival that you were trying to beat. Like, we have to go home and beat the Guardians. Like, that's our focus right now. Ultimately, we did end the year 0-6 against Boston, which it is what it is. We caught them at the very beginning of their historic run. We caught them towards the end of their historic run. They actually lost 2 of 3 from the Athletics of all teams this weekend. So
baseball's weird, man.
It could be worse. Tigers got swept by them at home when they sucked. So
yeah. So with all that being said, we were kind of lower on the spectrum in terms of like, how are the fans feeling? We're coming home to Cleveland. We're coming home to the Ozzie game, which we're going to talk about in just a couple of minutes. But I just want to call out Chase Meidroth has been like our team's WRC plus leader for at least 2, if not 3 weeks at this point. It goes back to a 4-for-4 night that he had a couple weeks ago. He had a 2 home run game. I believe that was Thursday's game at Boston. Like, the kid is playing his heart out, and I love to see him doing what he's doing, and I want to make sure that he earns his flowers because, again, this team isn't where it is right now without him. So want to call that out. Then I want to transition to kind of our new recruits. Over the trade deadline, we got Luis Castillo. We saw him debut against Boston. That wasn't great. It was for the first 9 batters. I think it was 9 up, 9 down.
Until you jinxed him.
Well, I can confirm, not confirm nor deny this accusation. Castillo looked decent until he didn't. So we'll see what that turns into long term. Again, I would rather have a starting pitcher that can eat innings that I know has the higher ceiling than have Dominguez. I've heard in Sox fandom that there was just some people very emotional about losing Dominguez, which, again, it wasn't consistent enough yet to really bank on him being part of the team long term. So I still honestly believe that if you were going to lose the rest of this season, it was going to be because you were throwing your young arms too much. I mean, Dan just talked about this earlier with the Guardian, with Messick. You can't throw their arm off their first season up. It just doesn't make sense, right? Burke, Martin, I'm sure both of them, even though they're not first years, are going to exceed their inning count for the last couple years. So again, you need that veteran arm in there that you can trust, and that's where Luis Castillo will ultimately, whether he wins or loses, will will be a benefit for this team. Other additions: Joey Bart. Sam, you have a thought? I want to transition to you before.
Oh,
I go
no.
further.
That's the next thing.
I apologize.
When you're done.
Okay.
Instead of talking about the Royals, I have a discussion question for the group whenever you're done, Ty. But please proceed.
Thank you.
Please proceed, Governor.
The other addition, Joey Bart, came in for
R.I.P.
3 games.
Did he take that back?
I shouldn't be laughing, but this is so ridiculous.
9 plate appearances. Average of 0. On base percentage of .333. Okay, not bad.
Uh-huh.
He was hit in the hand or wrist. I should have that up. I don't.
I'm about to.
He was hit on something.
When Edgar Caro got that call, he was like, I knew you would be back.
He's like Loki in Dark Knight or whatever the hell the second Thor movie was. And here you are, you've come back to me, or whatever the hell the quote is. I never watched that movie. But you know what I'm talking about.
You never watched that Dark Knight?
No.
We know exactly what we're talking about. And yes, Joey Bart here on the screen was showing that he suffers a fracture in his left hand. Edgar Caro, who has been thrown back and forth, to and fro and to, he comes back to our roster for the third time this season. No comments on Caro whatsoever.
He doesn't. Bart doesn't even get the honor of being the shortest-lived trade acquisition because Curtis Mead got hit on the second at bat and broke his
A
rib.
previous White Sox.
That's true.
So
I
what
hate
curse needs to be lifted from the White Sox catching clubhouse room? Like what's going on in there? Is Edgar Caro just coming at everyone with a gun?
Wow. Let's hope not. For context, it's Corey Lee was supposed to be the initial backup catcher. They didn't like him, so then they got Reese McGuire, who then they cut. Kyle Teal was supposed to come back, and then went back down with a completely different injury. Who was the middle guy too that they traded for? Romo,
who had a great week and a half, and then
Bart. And then this is their 6th catch. Well, Corey Lee, I guess their 5th catcher this season.
My boy Eric Haas is on their AAA team.
And Eric Haas, don't hold your breath, but he might make an appearance for the Sox this year. And
2021 Eric Haas, never forget.
This is one of those pieces where it's with the offense you've seen from the White Sox, when they're not scoring nothing, which has happened when you're pitching when you're going against a really good starting pitcher, especially this Guardian series I was worried about. Again, now we've actually seen at least one, if not 2 of the starting pitchers we did see, which then again today we don't actually get to see how that played out because of a rain delay. We'll talk about that though. Against good starting pitching, these guys will fail. They will be held to 0 scoreless through 4 through 5.
What I will say, yes, but I understand. Let me get rid of my mush mouth. You're going to do worse against starting pitching. But I will say the White Sox, as far as a boom and bust lineup go, if you hit a lot of home runs, I think there was a study a couple years ago, by Fangraphs, that the team that out-homers their opponent wins a playoff series 80% of the time.
Which makes sense. We have a lower average than when we're used to, and
in the playoffs, that. Now you have some questions over the White Sox starting pitching, and that can be another thing because if you give up 8 home runs, it hardly will matter. But they have a playoff lineup to me. Like they've checked that box. I think it's the pitching side, which is a significantly harder and more expensive thing to develop and get. That's what they need to figure out. But the lineup is there.
And that's why having a terrible offensive catcher is that's your 9th spot. It is what it is. We're scoring enough. It doesn't matter. This isn't when we had Martin Maldonado, where we needed something out of the catcher spot at that point. So,
what did he hit? Like 136?
You know what?
For like
anyway,
half the year?
Joey Bart. So again, went with it down with an injury. He went on the 10-day IL. So I don't know how long he's necessarily going to be out.
I mean, they did. Are you saying why they didn't put him on the 60-day?
I mean,
they won't
had
move
no
him.
reason to believe he's not coming back.
They won't move him until they need to make a roster spot. So unless there's a rookie that they want to add to the
like Eric Haas, for example, like if you wanted to add him for funsies.
For the next catcher injury, they might need to move him to the 60-day.
And hopefully, if Bart figures, if the unfractures his hand, if Kyle Teal comes back relatively quick, whatever that may be, I guess catching situation, it's a question mark for the rest of the season. I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I am totally okay with that. Other additions: Brenton Doyle through 5 games, 9 plate appearances. This is before today's game, by the way. Hitting .222 with a 19 WRC plus.
Is lower number good? I'm not sure. I just started watching baseball.
No, it's not golf. It is not golf. Lower number, no bueno. Now he's looked great fielding. Obviously, 2-time Gold Glover. Again, something else he did during the game today. I'm not going to go to that yet, but as a defensive replacement, fine. I really hope they can figure something out for him offensively.
I'm skeptical of Colorado Rockies players.
Well, now that we have 2 of them in Romo and Doyle, because White Sox love previous Colorado Rockies.
Dan, are you skeptical in that you feel like they're tainted goods, or that you would want them because they've been handled by the Rockies and you can maybe get them to potential?
It's just there's
a reason why they're on the Colorado Rockies in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
I just think it's the offensive environment. There were a bunch of guys this year that are posting really good numbers that I don't know that if you place them in some other ballpark are going to do the same thing. By the
way, Doyle was not good offensively in Colorado, by the way.
He's a defensive replacement.
I need to do some Hunter Goodman propaganda. He's better outside of course.
And the one guy that they didn't get rid of.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
There's another guy that we acquired at the deadline, and that was Brazoban from the New York Mets.
Yep.
In the last, looks like the last week or so, he has pitched to a 3.86 ERA through 2.1 inning of work against. That's mostly against Boston. I think he's going to be fine. I have no reason to believe that that's not going to work out. I think that's going to be. He's going to be better than Dominguez was going to be. We win. We win. That's it.
Do you believe, like, just not to bring up that trade again, but like, I understand Dominguez was not he had a lot of blown saves, but this bullpen isn't better without him.
Yes, it is.
Ooh, I disagree with that.
Addition by subtraction. He is.
Is it because Will Venable is going to stop putting him in the 9th inning?
He was the most volatile pitcher in the bullpen. You replaced his spot with Brazoban, who is a better pitcher. Yes, he's older, but
you're not replacing him with Brazoban. Yes, you replaced his physical spot on the roster.
Yes.
So is Dominguez better than whoever the 8th guy in the bullpen is right now? Is really what I'm asking.
What did Dominguez do in his first outing with Seattle? He gave up 2 homers.
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
I don't want that. I don't want that on my team. If I don't have to have that on my team, I don't. Because again, if on any given night you're either going to give up 5 homers or strike out the side, I'm good, dude. Sure. I'm okay. I don't need that in my life. There was a comment a couple of months ago that I was scrolling through previous Reddit, and someone on our broadcast had made the comment, "Oh no, Sir Anthony Dominguez is warming up. My heart monitor just started beeping faster." That is not a pitcher that you want in your bullpen for a playoff run. That's all I got for you. Again, on screen here we have the four joiners to the White Sox. I just want to talk to say overall, MLB was very lukewarm on this. Like they're like, oh, the White Sox kind of just they did stuff, but like for what, and whatever. I don't hate it. I'm not gonna say I rock on, this is awesome, but I don't hate it. There's nothing to hate here. And the message from our team leadership has been, we didn't break up the roster. We didn't break up anything that was the reason why this season's going so well. We didn't mess any of that up. We added backup options for Joey Bart until Kyle Teal comes back, until Edgar Caro figures it out. You added Bazovan for the bullpen. Obviously, performed really well for the Mets. Hopefully, he continued to do the same here. You got rid of Dominguez, your highest. You're like, oh, is he going to be good? Is he not going to be good? Is he going to be our closer? Is he not? You got rid of some question marks while not adding any additional question marks.
Sure. I guess I feel like why people are. I'll put my opinion on it. I was disappointed in the White Sox trade deadline because I thought they should have been aiming higher. I think they should have went out for Gausman and Peralta. And like Castillo, I think like that is a trade I would have made personally. I like the potential of him maybe bouncing back if you can squeeze anything else from that juice. But I mean, there's a lot of red flags with him. I just would have pushed an envelope because, like, to me, Caleb Bonham doesn't really have a spot on this roster right now. I'm not saying I'm giving him away, but I would have been motivated to get a guy I want starting game one of a playoff series.
And Eric, I don't disagree with you, but I was starting to write an entire article about how the only major starting pitcher that we should have given away multiple top 100 prospects for was Logan Webb.
Sure.
San Francisco Giants made it very apparent that they were not trading Logan Webb. And at that point, I could care less what they were going to do, because anyone else you were going to get, Gausman, whoever, it wasn't going to be what we needed for this year and for next year.
We'll see. I mean, right now the White Sox are in the playoffs, and I think you would have preferred to have a Gausman rather than. I think you would have been better to have Gausman than not have him.
I don't know what the free agent class looks like this offseason. Who knows what that's going to look like in general with the impending stuff going on.
Yes.
But the White Sox did just clear $20+ million off their books by shipping off Dominguez, and $20+ million is not
took on an additional 40 by bringing in Castillo.
It's not the highest level of aces.
It is not.
But it could contribute to,
Yes.
the funds needed to add somebody in free agency.
Absolutely. So again, overall deadline, yes, it could have been better, but again, you did not give up anything crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're talking this same time next year, and we're saying that we really did go all in for it, those same guys that you were just that you're thinking that we're going to trade, those are the ones that are going to be traded next year.
Right.
Because the goal is that the guys that are on our roster right now, especially our infield, but maybe even our outfield, this could be it for the next 2 to 3 years. I'm not saying that it absolutely will be, but it could be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be okay with that. So if these guys in AAA, AA, if they're not going to have a path up, next trade deadline is that's the goal, is that they're really pushing for the rental pieces and like, let's do it.
Sure.
With that, sorry,
yeah.
Go ahead, Eric.
No, I was gonna move on to your next point. So that's
Perfect. So that's who we added at the trade deadline. Again, we didn't get rid of anybody super. I mean, Mason Adams was our big prospect removal. I'll be honest with you, I didn't prepare a lot on him other than the fact that I know they've been high on him for a while. I was surprised that they hadn't already brought him up. So At least that's from my perspective where we're at with that. But again, the White Sox, in terms of where we are right now, in a division full of teams that are either trying to decide that they want to go and try to take us down or whatever it may be, we are still going to be an obstacle for the rest of this season. There are 52 more games at this point. 52 more games where we are going to be an obstacle for the other teams in this division. Whether or not you believe this division is worth playing in and that any of these teams are relatively good at all in the first place, that's a whole other argument. It's baseball. It is what it is. Again, any of the other teams in this division could be in first place right now, and they're not.
Right.
Because we went May, we went April, we went June, July. Why the White Sox? Wait, what?
Right. And
Guys,
you will
it's
hear that
August
in
9th.
August and September too. Like nobody
It's
will
August
believe in the
9th.
White Sox.
Like, if we're not good, then I don't know what you guys are doing. What does that say about you? So, like I
You're
said,
not
I have
going
no
to get
reason
any
to
argument
believe.
from me.
I was
Ty.
about to
And
say,
again,
No, yeah,
And
I don't-
again, this isn't a fault of the White Sox. The White Sox are a good team that has the opportunity to be even better. But
yeah.
I do think it's a fault of everybody else that they aren't more competitive with the White
right.
Sox.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I just want to call out one other thing about the Sox for this season. We just endured our first 4-game losing streak. We were the last team in the MLB and in the major leagues to do so.
Hmm.
That's pretty crazy. Like, I'm not,
Yeah.
again, we're not the Dodgers. It is what it is. But to show a young team and how resilient they are night in, night out, that they're not going to lose 4 games in a row multiple times during the season, I can't be unhappy with that.
You're right.
I don't
but
know,
would
Ty.
also-
The Dodgers just lost 7 in a row.
I was about to say that sleeper
Yeah.
agent Tarek Skubal. So Ty, not to like crap on your point, but I would also point to your point you just made in they're playing in the American League Central with with 3 teams that are trying to figure out what they're doing. So like it is hard to lose 4 games in a row
Fair.
with that as your schedule.
But also as a
But
team who just
they
lost
did it.
300 games over the last
Sure.
3 seasons
this is fair.
with our,
Yeah.
with our
I'm not saying
current
it's completely without merit, but
Yeah.
there is they had a smoother road than let's say the National League West
absolutely.
is what I would say.
And with that, more of my points to come with the White Sox on the recap. So unless
All
you guys have anything,
Oh, let's talk about Ozzy.
Ozzy, goodness gracious, what
That's where I thought you were going.
I
Not gonna lie.
was gonna try. Ozzy again. I actually was at this game on Saturday. We had Paul Konerko out. We had AJ Przinsky do a speech. It was all very, very wonderful. And I took this video that we're seeing on screen here of them actually showing off Guillen's new retired number. And what I want to say is I appreciate everything he's done for everyone in the organization. I wasn't paying enough attention in 05. I wasn't old enough, whatever you want to call it. I don't fully appreciate everything he is, but I appreciate that for a lot of people, he is a big difference maker in this organization. He has made a big impact on a lot of people's lives, and I can respect that. I know that he does love Chicago, that he does love baseball, and from what they said during the speeches, ultimately that team in 05 would not have won without him as the manager.
He was not exactly known as a tactician, but he was a motivator and he got the best out of his players, and that's all you can do. So you can do that and you win a World Series. That makes you a cult hero, like in every fan base with his personality.
Right. And he
We'll
had 3
also say that the controversies associated with
Yeah.
Ozzie Guillen, by today's standards, are pretty tame.
Wouldn't even make the front page.
The one thing I'd like to take, I did have one key takeaway actually from Paul Konerko's speech. Ozzie Guillen had 3 rules in his dugout, and he had a pretty, he had a pretty veteran dugout, if you will.
Okay.
3 rules. Rule number 1 was be on time. Okay, that's a good start. Number 2 is to be up either in the dugout or be standing up for the national anthem. Okay, fair. And number 3 was play hard. And if you're going to ask me of another team that kind of exemplified those values, and no, it's not the Royals. It's the White Sox of this year. Sorry, I was making a cut at Jensen. Anyway.
Good.
That was a deep cut even for me.
But again, like it's playing above your weight or punching above your weight, and
Can I just say too? I also like. Why do you have to kick the Royals? Like, what's
The Royals are
it
dead.
look, it's a core memory that Jensen was late. I don't know what you want from me. Anyway,
Stop picking
The
on them.
idea,
We're
the
2 hours
idea
into
that I'm
recording,
supposed
guys.
To be upset by the fact that the Royals are having a bad season, I find to be a little bit silly. I've been through this before, guys.
So again, like I said, we are playing with a similar values, though we don't have as veteran of a clubhouse. I feel like we're playing with similar values, even if that hasn't been publicly stated. And I'm here for it. I'm just here for it. So thank you, Ozzy, for everything that you've been and continue to be to the organization, to the people of Chicago, the people of Venezuela. It is an honor to have you part of our history.
And Ozzy, I wish you a broken thermostat for the rest of your days.
Honestly, obviously, he gets a lot of shine for his time as the manager of the White Sox for obvious reasons. Pretty good ball player, by the way. Too,
Yeah.
in his
Rookie of the
own right.
year.
Not spectacular, but solid ball player. Played 16 years. Really good defensive shortstop. Most of those with Chicago. Just wanted to mention that he wasn't just a manager. He was
3-time All-Star.
three-time All-Star.
Yeah.
So
I will
Pretty
call out to
good.
the audience. I wasn't alive in the 70s, so I didn't watch him, but
Well, come
I-
on now. We
Thank you
weren't
for
alive
clarifying.
either.
Well,
I
that's because
remember
that
Ozzy
might be
being
because
playing,
he
and I
played in
wasn't
the 80s.
around in the 70s. So
Thank you for clarifying that you're not 50.
Thank you.
Are you done with the White Sox, Ty?
yeah.
Okay. I have a quick thought experiment and a quick thing that crossed my mind as I was coming on the show today. Obviously, a lot of talk about this division and where we're at and what the records of the teams are. To be clear, there's another division in this same American League that has a division leader that has a worse record in the AL West than the Astros. And obviously there's a wild card hunt that currently has a team that's 500 as the number one or as the last team in. And what I was thinking to myself is, would it be if let's say a losing team makes the playoffs from the American League, whether it's division winner, wild card, whatever. If a team that finishes 80 and 82 makes the playoffs this season, does that help or hurt when we get to CBA lockout negotiations?
My initial reaction, I think it's irrelevant because they're not worried about the records. They're worried about the money being spent.
The competitive stuff isn't. They don't actually care about that. That's just the argument the owners are making in order to not pay as much money.
But I feel like if there is because obviously losing teams in basketball make the playoffs all the time. Hockey, that happens regularly. NFL, it's happened a couple times. I feel like if a team with a bad record makes the playoffs, and losing record, I think that helps the argument for a salary floor.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm pro floor anyway, but
My take on this is that if they get into the playoffs, nothing burger. If a losing team, a losing record team, or a team like, let's just say the White Sox, for example, were to go up against the Dodgers in the World Series and beat them, that would be a lot bigger of an impact towards any talks that are around this topic.
I mean
Yeah,
that would
but it's
just
not going
scream
to
for
happen.
parity.
That's the
But
thing.
yeah,
It's
mean-
nice to wish cast, but that's just not going to happen.
Let's say
It
this.
could.
Let's say
Just
this.
like how
Let's
the
say a
Detroit
losing
Tigers
team
won't make the
wins
playoffs.
a series, Ty.
I
Also-
agree with Ty. If a poor record team were to beat the Yankees, that would be the kind of thing, because that's in the playoffs with more eyeballs watching. I
Mhm.
agree with the general premise of like that's not really what the owners and the players are arguing over. That's kind of fan facing or media facing stuff. But if it's a prominent enough thing where it's on the regular news, then now maybe that's big enough of a story to actually shift and change the actual legislation of the next CBA. I think that's interesting. I think just a team that's below 500 making the playoffs, what that might end up helping with, or not helping with, but what that would help an argument with is maybe realignment, or maybe getting rid of divisions entirely, or maybe
Yeah.
some sort of thing of that nature.
I mean, to me, like the argument wouldn't necessarily go with the CBA; it would go with the playoff format itself. Because
Yeah.
the owners wanted these, like this was fairly new within the last 5 years, that the owners wanted 2 more teams added to the playoff format. The owners, truth be told, would prefer just to have everyone in the playoffs because the players get paid the same salary regardless of what your contract is, and all that money that isn't going to payroll goes to the owners. The attendance, whatever bonus there is for the viewership, and then what the players are fighting over is one, just a base salary, but also then whatever the World Series bonus or the ALCS bonus is. But players don't make anything in the playoffs themselves. It's the
No,
owners getting everything.
They do make more if you have a home playoff game.
The owners do.
And I guess-
yes.
No, the players do. They get a cut. I'm pretty sure that I saw a video about
I'm not
that where it
familiar
was
with
mentioned. I'd have to look it up to get the details, but like if they have a home playoff game, then the home team players get like a share that they split up or something.
That all being said, I do think back to Sam's question that ultimately I think both sides will take whatever they want out of whether or not a team under 500 makes a playoff or just a bad team makes a playoff. They're going to use that to their advantage, whether they're arguing for the floor, arguing not against the floor. It'll be used in some way, shape, or form.
Yep.
Again, it just comes back to how valuable of a point will it end up being.
As a fan, though, I would love it if the Yankees lost to like an 80-win team. I would.
I mean, that's with when you play a 3-game series,
yes,
and the Yankees are
100%.
probably going to be in that wild card series this season. I mean, if they go up against the 80-win Guardians, and the Guardians end up winning a 3-game series in Yankee Stadium,
National news
I-
right
Oh,
there.
I'd love it.
right? That's something, and
Well, also-
especially because there's only one team in MLB history who's made the playoffs with a losing record. Do you know who that team is?
Who
Understand
are they,
right,
Sam?
Oh.
It's the Royals back in 1981, I think. They did it where it was a strike season.
Yep.
So they played like the first half of the season, and then there was a strike, and then
Season.
whoever was leading the division when the strike happened made the playoffs, and then whoever won the division in the second half of the season
Oh, that's right.
also made the playoffs. So the Royals were leading the division in the first half, and then by the time the season ended, they ended up having like like 2 games below 500 record. They ended up losing in the first round of that season anyway. But my point is that I do think that would be a significant, you know, it would be something that would contribute to the CBA if there were to be a losing team to make the playoffs this season.
That's why I just love the playoffs. Is like I love the chaos of baseball playoffs specifically. Even though like when the Twins aren't in, I don't watch it that much. But like the example we just used, Cleveland has a very good 1, 2, 3 for their starting rotation. That could easily like the Yankees lineup is flawed. So if Aaron Judge is off, the Yankees are a pretty beatable playoff team. Now I say that not trying to jinx anyone in this division who has to eventually face them, but in a 3-game series, anything can happen. And I love the idea of the Yankees because, like, oh, I would just live. I would lurk so hard in Yankees Reddit. I would live in there for the next like week and just revel in their misery.
You know who has never lost to the Yankees in a playoff series, though?
Hooli.
The Detroit Tigers.
I'm very proud of all of you. Do you know who has been absolutely atrocious against the Yankees for the last 25 years in any
Cleveland
format?
Guardians have, that's for sure.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Yep. We'll put that
Have they
screen
not,
over on
okay,
Cleveland.
we just did this exercise a couple of weeks ago where we looked at the Guardians and how many 90-win seasons they've had over the last 3 decades. They've been the one playing them.
We have lost to the Yankees several times in the last decade in the playoffs.
I would, Ty, I will give you a homework assignment and go look up the Twins' playoff record against the Yankees, and you will be embarrassed for me. But anyway, let's move on. We have a series to talk about, and then we have some predictions to go over. So I'll just kind of play we're going long, so I know you gentlemen have been talking about this series for a bit. So I don't want to say keep it brief, but maybe just go through the highlights and then kind of talk from there.
So game 1 starts with the whole thing with Venable coming out and accidentally pulling Noah Schultz. We've talked about that already.
No, it starts with Schultz dying on the mound, but yeah.
He gave up 2 runs in the first 4 hitters. So I talked about Sandlin and the job he did. The only other things I wanted to mention here, Solak was awesome. Messick was awesome. 7 innings, 2 runs. I know Lee said he looked like crap physically. He that's just how he looks.
I didn't say those words exactly.
He pitched very well and against a very good offense. And then I also want to shout out Franco Aliman, who came out and pitched the last 2 innings and kind of closed this game out. Didn't give up any runs, but did throw 40 pitches as a reliever, but saved the rest of the bullpen on a night where they had a 6-run lead. So good offensive showing for the Guards, and that's all I got.
Again, if the Sox can't get to the starter, they have to get to the bullpen. That did not occur in this game. Therefore, we lose.
Anthony Kay was game 2. Never mind.
Yeah. I want to actually, you know what? Before we go to game 2, game 1, going from, and I if you could scroll down on the screen here, I believe it's Schultz, then Sandlin. That's to get through our first 5 or 6 innings. Trevor Richards. Okay, keep in mind, this was coming off of a 13-inning game in Boston where we used 7 or 8 different pitchers, and then Fetty to close it out. The most important thing of this game was the fact that we didn't use Newcomb, we didn't use Hicks, we didn't use Brian Hudson, we didn't use Taylor. We lost 8-2, but our guys got some rest.
Sandlin ate it, and that was really important.
And exactly 100%.
And he's about to have the big swing here. Angel Martinez really struggled when he first came back from the IL. He had a 2-hit game here. He's looked good. He looked good in the series. He looks like he's starting to come back around. So a little more offensive firepower potentially for the Guards.
And I can't remember if and I'm gonna say his name wrong. The new guy.
Hanau.
He started doing stuff this game, did he not? He had a good series, I think.
Other than the error, he was solid. He's been good at the plate.
Offensively, he had a good series, so it was cool to see in person on Saturday.
He looks like a hitter, and with Jose not in the lineup every day, they need he's in a tough spot where he's having to cover for a legend a little bit. and he's just going to have to contribute what he can. And so far, offensively, it's been good.
So moving into game 2, I was actually at this game. Like I said, this is a game that that we retired Ozzie Guillen's number 13, Anthony Kay versus Gavin Williams. This was another game I was a little worried about. I was like, okay, are we going to be able to get to Williams? Well, for the first 5 innings, that answer's no. But thankfully, Kay shoves for the first 5 innings as well. Now, I think, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, I think fielding for both sides was just kind of sloppy this series. I think there's things that could have happened in this game, especially that a run could have been scored. Anyway, Guardians come out in the top of the 6th and get what was it, a 2-run homer off of Kay?
Hoskins hit a 2-run home run. Yeah. Oh,
And you start to see, you're like, as a Sox fan, you see the downhill from the Boston series and everything. You're like, oh, this isn't going to be good. And finally, we put up a crooked number after what seems to be a couple days of having some issues. We put up 5 in the bottom of the bottom of the 6th. First one off of Williams, and then Holderman comes in next, if I'm not
yes.
mistaken.
Holderman has been awesome all year, and he just didn't. We were talking about mechanics, and he just doesn't have it tonight. Holderman did not have it. He hit 2 guys in back-to-back succession. I didn't like his body language, and that's a whole other thing. He looked incredulous on hitting the second guy, like that was a thing that happened to him, as opposed to him.
Yeah, 2 hit batters, right?
Yeah, he was responsible for both those hit batsmen, and then obviously there was the home run afterward.
Yeah. Munetake Murakami hits a foul pole. I was standing right by that actually as he did that. That was super cool. Fun fact for those who watched the previous series between these two teams, Holderman actually took the loss in the July 5th game, so I thought that was fun. Pulled out my little notepad and I was like, "Oh, Holderman, we beat him last time."
Maybe the White Sox have something on him. And my mistake, he didn't allow the home run. It was the Peters double off of Holderman.
Oh, okay. Oh, Gavin Williams gave up the homer to Murakami. Then.
Yeah.
There we go. But again, I mean, for bullpen wise, you see it here on the screen. After Holderman gives up his final, Heron, he takes the earned run, but really that comes down to a throwing error. So I think other than Holderman, this was a great pitching performance for the Guardians. Dan, you can argue with me if you'd like to, but for the Sox, Kay going only giving up 2, and then Hicks, Newcomb, Hudson, Taylor, these have been our guys for the last week and a half, and it has been wonderful.
I agree that Heron gave up a run, but there was an error there, which I now didn't get. It should have caught a throw on a stolen base. Patrick Bailey put the throw on the money Acuna was trying to steal, and Pinau just didn't catch it. Point blank. Other than that, the only other thing I want to allude to here is Gavin Williams has been awesome in the last month or so. He had a streak of double-digit strikeouts and only 1 walk for 5 straight games. He only had 7 Ks and 2 walks in this game. And the at-bats Chicago put up, where we talk about how good and promising of an offense Chicago has, their at-bats were spectacular. Like, they didn't necessarily score a ton of runs off of him, but they made him work, and they got him out in the 6th inning, and just a lot of really good professional at-bats. And that's what I'm talking about when I say the White Sox have been a good offense this year.
And I will
remember like a month ago when we were like, "Oh, what's Gavin Williams been up to? We haven't really talked about him much." And then
ever since he's been dominant.
I just want to call out final thing about the game 2, that 8th inning run that scored. So Colson Montgomery gets a hit into right field in front of Adele, I believe. So he's on first. We do have a pinch runner in Acuna, pinch run for Colson Montgomery. Colson Montgomery had hit a foul ball off of his ankle. I think it's the other ankle. He's hit himself 3 times in the last 2 weeks. So he's like, you're like, okay, this is going to be an easy out for Cleveland. We'd like an insurance run at this point. Acuna goes for the steal at second. The throw, whether not caught or thrown away, Acuna scrambles to third. And then I don't remember, it was an RBI single by Braden or Grichuk, one or the other.
Somebody did.
Somebody gets the RBI single to get him in. And again, just getting that insurance run and putting Acuna in as a pinch runner, that was huge for me.
Yeah. Game 3. Why the heck did we start this game on time? We had a lovely 17-minute delay to kiss Ozzie Guillen's butt on Saturday night. And then we start this game on time so that they could play an inning and then have a downpour. I'm being a little harsh on Ozzie. I'm going for a little humor. I apologize. But my point being, both teams, so twice in this series, Venable makes a decision that gets his starting pitcher exited after 1 inning or less. Because it's the home team's decision before the game starts on whether or not we start or we delay.
Wait. So Dan, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but so did you want us to just wait it all out and then go
Yes.
put 4 cliffs of sand onto the warning track? Is that what you wanted to see?
Dan's
we
just
could do
used
that.
to the Cleveland people going out sniffing the air and putting "I sense rain in the air" and then delaying the game for 5 hours.
It's raining
I'm
in
sorry, but
Detroit.
that's better than burning your starting pitcher after 1 inning. That's just stupid. Like, and maybe I'm upset because I think that really affected the outcome of this game, and Cantillo would have had a better shot than our bullpen throwing 8 innings. But
You just wanted to be able to get to Martin and him tipping his pitches like Boston did. That's what it sounds like.
really, neither starter really inspired a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
Martin gave up 2 in the first. Cantillo gave up 1, but the White Sox sure responded a lot better than the Guardians after the delay. So. That's what I have. I mean, the White Sox 5 unanswered after the delay, and the Guardians' offense was hapless from there. Stranded a lot of runners in this series. Adding the broadcast graphic at the end of the inning, for some reason on Sunday, it started to start showing the left on base next to the errors at the end of the inning, and that was a choice because I don't know why we want to point that out, especially after we left 9 more.
Well, it's not like you guys can't win. It's just the fact that you're leaving everything on bases.
Wow.
Yep.
I do want to call out Hagen Smith did make his MLB debut this game. He did good after the delay. He did good for the first 2 or 3 batters. Come out for the next inning. I don't know if he even got an out in the next inning out. So some things to look forward to, but obviously still needs to establish himself.
Can I ask a question that isn't related to this game?
Absolutely.
What the hell is Kids Day for the Chicago broadcast? Because I see that
Marketing.
I was about to say, like, what do they do that's any different? Because I have not, other than the score bug is different.
Flashy graphics. That's all. That's really all.
Do they have like a kid come up and like do like an inning in the broadcast booth?
Look, guys, my dad got me into baseball by bringing me to a baseball game and buying me whatever food I wanted. Not everyone can do that. So this is their attempt to try to market to dads and their kids.
But from what I can tell, the only thing that is different between this and all other broadcasts is the score bug is basically the hats of the team, and it says Kids Day in the middle of it.
And then whenever there's a transition, it's a baseball that comes at you in like the swirl motion.
So I'm not alone in thinking like, what is different? Okay, as long as I'm not the one insane.
And some of our Chicagoans were unhappy with the graphics, but I don't hate them. They are what they are.
I mean, I don't hate just if you're going to do a theme, do something with the theme.
Well, the kids. I mean, and here's the thing. So like we had an '80s night a couple months ago, and they changed the broadcast entirely, but changed nothing at the actual stadium, which I thought was really odd.
That's
Kids Day means like Sundays they do special things at the stadium. But on the broadcast, it's just the graphics.
Do you think they would ever do like a retro theme night and do Disco Demolition Night again?
Oh, God damn it, Eric.
My dad would love that.
I was so close.
Because I believe he was there. But
what?
Yeah.
He was seriously at Disco?
My dad's a fun guy. My dad's a fun guy. He had a good time.
Can we have him on the show just to tell that story?
Look, dude, I barked
How
up that
many
tree
discs
so
did he
many
bring to burn?
times.
All right, so if there's like 5 people who have not heard of Disco Demolition Night,
Eric, we're at 2 hours and 18
Okay,
minutes. We're
fine.
not going to get into Disco
look it up on
Destruction
Google.
Night.
that is so fun. God, I want him to be there. But okay, fine. Point taken, Sam. We are nearly 2.5 hours. So,
For our one listener that's left.
there you go. Plus audio. So let's go into the series. Let's go into the schedule. So the division leading White Sox just finished up with the Guardians. They have the Reds and then the Tigers this week. The now second place Detroit Tigers, 3.5 games back, have the Guardians and then the White Sox. The tied for third/4th place Cleveland Guardians have the Tigers and then the Padres. The Twins have, where are we at? Why are we in April? What the frick are we doing here? That's way off. Okay. Sorry about that. They have the Orioles and then the Phillies, including the Field of Dream game. So that's going to be awesome. They're going to be there.
Isn't what's his face? The main actor guy, Kevin.
Kevin Costner.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's gonna be there. Apparently.
Yeah. He better be. And this is the renovated one. Did they do one last year, or am I missing? I don't.
They
Anyway,
haven't
they-
done one in a couple years, I don't think.
because they
did Bristol
renovated.
Motor Speedway last year.
There you go. So that's fun.
The
I like.
actual Field of Dream game was the one with Tim Anderson hitting a home run over the Yankees, and that's my
Yep.
opinion.
It is
The
fun.
only one they ever played.
I've made the joke that if the Twins have any sense of drama, Walker Jenkins will not be announced for his debut, and they will just have left field open,
Ooh.
and they will just have him walk out into left field. Will that happen? Not a chance in hell. But it's a
I think
cool visual.
all the players walked out from the Corn last time, I believe.
Yes, but I'm saying you still do that, but then as the game is starting, you'd be like, why doesn't Minnesota have a left fielder?
fielder.
And then just or whatever the natural like. Here he comes. So and also $2 beers for the first game in Minnesota. So that's
They need to bribe people to go to the games.
probably going to need that. So, and then the Royals have. Oh my goodness, Sam! I'm very sorry.
Hell yeah.
I mean,
The
they
Royals-
do
the
catch him at a
Royals are
good
gonna
time.
Win this series against the Dodgers.
I
Do it.
love it.
And lose
They
the
have-
series to the
Mark-
Angels.
They're playing
Mark
LA.
my words.
They're going to LA all week. They have the Dodgers. and the
yeah,
Angels.
Dan, that's absolutely what's going to happen. The Royals are going to beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3, and then they're going to get swept by the Angels.
Yeah, that would be
100%.
I love that, actually. I'm down.
hell yeah.
All right. So we have 2 series to predict. Lee, Detroit. Cleveland at Detroit.
Look, we don't have the Tigers do not have the best of records against Cleveland at the moment. And the first pitcher the Tigers have to face is Tanner Bybee, who is not very nice to the Tigers, and he kind of destroys our lineup.
He's not.
However, the Tigers are really, really hot right now. The Guardians aren't. Give me the Guardians so I reverse jinx it because I don't want to say the Tigers in case they don't.
But you don't get Messick. You don't get Williams. You don't get Ken.
We do get Messick. No, we
They will
get
get
Messick.
Mystic.
Oh, that's
In
the
game
last
3.
game. All right.
The
Well, there's
last
a loss.
game is going to
There's
be
a loss there.
1-0 against Messick. Yeah, so that's going to be rough.
Well, at least you take 1 out of 3.
I think we do to at least take 1 out of 3. I don't know about the Bybee matchup, and I don't know about the Messick matchup because that's going to be really rough for us.
Well, Dan, what do you think?
You know who has the best WRC plus in baseball in the last 30 days? It's the Detroit Tigers. Tigers sweep the Guardians.
Ooh,
Wow.
Sam.
sign me up.
I will take the Tigers here. They're hot.
Tie.
Well, the Sox are going to sweep Cincinnati, so I can't
This is
assume
not
that
relevant.
I can't assume that Cleveland will also get swept. I'm going to say Guardians.
Guardians.
You just don't see the vision.
I just want to compete with Dan for the division for the rest of the season, to be honest with you. I want the other 2 out of it.
I want that
Great.
too.
Thanks. It's good to know that.
I mean, I think it's the Tigers. They're just playing too well.
But if there's one time where they really were just going to start falling apart, this would be it.
I mean,
You
maybe,
just
but
want
also
you're
like,
trying to manifest that. You don't really believe it.
what's weird is like Cleveland just doesn't play this poorly this long. Like,
I know. That's why they're gonna get hot against us.
and like,
what always
and yeah,
happens.
I don't know. I don't want to
JRM
say
just
like,
figures it out. Yep.
yeah, I don't. I think they have their pitching is always good. I don't. We'll see. It's just very surprising to me that Cleveland is playing this poorly. And then right after that, they have the White Sox versus in Detroit. Lee,
Tigers are gonna win 2 out of 3, easy.
Lame.
easy, she says.
Wow.
She
Sorry,
said,
we got our boy Troy Melton on the mound.
Wow.
boy.
We're going to tear them apart.
Yeah, you can try. How'd that go for you last time?
I have no idea, actually.
You got swept.
Oh.
Can I go now?
Yes.
You know who has the highest WRC plus in baseball right now?
Oh,
The last tournament?
boo.
It's the Detroit Tigers. They win 2 of 3.
Sam.
I like the vibes of the White Sox right now.
When
We've
you just
got
said
good-
vibes, I was like, that could be either team.
We've got good vibes, and I feel good about the White Sox.
Ty.
You know what, Sam? I think you're onto something. I like the vibes of the White Sox, too. I'm going White Sox.
I don't like being the tiebreaker for these, by the way. Like, I would prefer this not to be the case.
Make it alphabetical, Eric.
I mean,
I
I
mean, you
could.
made the spreadsheet.
That's true. I put myself at the bottom because, like, whatever. It doesn't matter. Oh, God, I really don't know.
Come on. You know your heart
Because at this point,
pointing in the direction.
I would leave it up to the baseball gods, but both of them are playing well. So there's no, like, reverse jinx I can put on it. So I guess, who do I think is the better team?
Do you think the Tigers are going to be in first place in 6 days? That's what you're answering, Eric.
For God's sakes, we've seen what this division has done. Like,
Well, then you know your answer then.
I mean, I think the Tigers.
That's
They're
terrible.
just playing
That's
too well.
terrible. Come on.
And like, I don't know, because like the White Sox have been in this lead for the last 6 weeks, 2 months. Outside of literally May, the Tigers have arguably been the best team in this division.
I know we've
Against
alluded to that
terrible
a bunch
teams.
of times, but like you can't just go, well, if you take out the month where they were really bad, then they're really good. Like
I can agree with that, except for 16 players on their 26-man rosters were injured. Like, there's a reason we keep saying
And
that.
what if they all get injured again in the next 6 games?
That is possible. The almighty meteor might make an appearance, but
Dan, we can make this a thing.
yeah, should have picked the meteor.
I would also like to say we do not support the tragedy of any team in the next 7 days for any team. We should
No
probably-
acts of God.
No acts of God. We'll see. Okay. Any closing thoughts? Mott Strom was released by the Royals, so Sam can do like a little backflip after that. So
You're under the false impression, Eric, that I continue to give a shit about these things.
well, he can no longer hurt you anymore, so he can go to another team and hurt them. So
I have closing thoughts.
yes.
First place next week, a week from today.
Ooh.
The White Sox are still in first. Cleveland Guardians are in second.
Oh, boo.
Who wants to argue that?
Me, boo.
All right, so who's 1 and who's 2? Please.
I think White Sox are still going to be first. Tigers are going to be like a game behind.
Okay.
I
That's
think I
good.
agree.
The Twins are going to be second because also it's 3.5 games and 4 games, and it's 1 week, so literally anything can happen.
Hey, a week ago, the Tigers were behind 6 teams in the wild card race, and now they leapfrogged 4 of them in a week.
All of this is true, but if you're going off of 1 week of baseball, literally anything can happen. So,
Hey, if we're going off of 3 weeks of baseball, Eduardo Valencia is the greatest baseball player in the history
This is
of
true.
the league. So,
I'm not putting anyone down, but if you're giving me that small of a sample, screw it. Go for chaos. And maybe the White Sox will just lose 6 in a row. That'd be great,
They
right?
need it.
Excuse
That would be
you.
fine.
for
Like,
that.
hello.
We can agree with that.
I'm
And
still
then
here.
the entire division can be underneath 500. after
Yeah,
this.
Please,
go
no.
for
Would that be
maximum
possible?
bullshit.
Could that be possible? I don't know if
I
that'd
Not
be
with
bet-
our
I bet it
bullpen.
could.
Not with our bullpen. It's not happening.
We'll see. If only Sir Anthony Domingos was there to anchor the ship. With that said, we're at 2.5 hours. We need to go. So we will talk to you guys sometime in